This is TNT, your playoff partner for the 15th straight season and your exclusive home of the Western Conference Finals.
From Studio A in Atlanta, we welcome you back to the NBA playoffs. I'm Ernie Johnson. Last night in San Antonio, the story was once again Tony Parker, whose dazzling 30-point night gave the Spurs a 2-0 lead over the Lakers. Tonight, the story comes out of the East. No shortage of stars either. There's uncertainty surrounding it. It's the series everybody's talking about.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. The job's a joke, you broke, your love life's the old way.
The Heat surged into the playoffs and survived in 7.
The Miami Heat, no one gave them a chance, and now they move to the second round.
Where they come face to face with the best record in the league. The Pacers have playoff savvy and a frontline star who's no longer the other O'Neal. Indiana, the odds-on favorite. Miami, the swaggering underdog. The Pacers with everything to prove. The Heat with nothing to lose. Game 1, tonight on TNT.
We welcome you to beautiful Conseco Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis, home to the Pacers, with the best regular season record in the NBA, and off their first-round sweep of the Celtics, set to battle the surprising Miami Heat, with both teams eyeing the Lawrence O'Brien Trophy. It's Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals on TNT. And good evening, everyone, with Doug Collins, Kevin Harlan. Great to have you with us tonight. A couple days ago, a Game 7 win against the New Orleans Hornets for the Miami Heat. What makes this Miami team go?
Well, Kevin, it starts with the brilliance of their young rookie point guard, Dwayne Wade. This young guy is such an exciting player, and has he really grown up before our very eyes? Game 1 of the playoffs against the New Orleans Hornets. He gets in the lane for the game winner. You see the speed, the quickness, the power up over the top of Baron Davis. And then in Game 5, the series tied 2-2, shot clock winding down under a minute. He buries the 3 with a quick release. Not known as an outside shooter, shot this calmly, buried it. They get a 3-2 lead. They go on and win the series. So this young guy is what makes their team go. You throw in the versatility of Lamar Odom, Caron Butler coming off a great series, the veteran Eddie Jones, a team of speed and quickness. They want to get out into the open court.
All right, now for the Indiana Pacers, they made very quick order of the Boston Celtics, sweeping them in 4 games. But, Doug, they haven't played in 11 days. This team had the best regular season record in the NBA. How do they craft that?
Well, they might get off to a slow start tonight because of the layoff, but they go to their big people. They pound it inside. That's the strength of their team, and that's where they're going to go. We talked to Rick Carlisle before the game. It starts with Jermaine O'Neal. They're exciting, young, talented power forward. You throw in a little dose of Al Harrington off the bench, one of the top 6 men of the league. His power, his quickness. And then Ron Artest, you're going to see him clean it up on the offensive board. His toughness, his defense, what he brings. This is the strength of their team, their front line. But here's the guy, Reggie Miller. This is Mr. Clutch. This is a guy for so many years we've seen here in Indiana make all the big shots. He is no longer their star player, but he is the heart and soul of this team. The young players on this team, they love him, they look up to him, they call him Uncle Reggie, and they say we'd love to see him get back to the NBA Finals.
Should be a good one tonight. Hey, you're looking for friends? We're friends, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
All right, it's the Indiana Pacers taking on the Miami Heat, and it comes your way next on TNT. McDonald's starting lineups. Caron Butler, who had a wonderful Game 7 for Miami. Lamar Odom is really playing at the top of his game. Grant, Eddie Jones, Dwayne Wade, the rookie from Marquette. Indiana with the Defensive Player of the Year, Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal, number 3 in MVP balloting. Foster, Miller, and Tinsley. Now, Jamal Tinsley, Doug Collins, is the point guard, and a guy that has not made a lot of headlines, there's not a lot of talk about him, but you are talking about him.
Well, they need him to play well. I mean, he's the guy who's going to control the tempo of this game. It's a power team. They count on him. Rick Carlisle calls the plays, and he has to get over. He has to be in communication with his coach. Under pressure now in the playoffs, as you step up, he's got to run this team. The power of this team is the front line. We spoke about that in the open. Getting the ball to the shooters, Reggie Miller, and then being able to pick and choose when he attacks. Dwayne Wade is going to be going at him all game. He has to resist the temptation to want to go back at him. That's not what he needs to do for this team.
So off 11 days rest, here come the Indiana Pacers, which swept the first-round series with Boston, beating them by an average margin of victory of 17 points. And the exhausted, and I'm just assuming emotionally and physically exhausted Miami Heat. But, you know, that could maybe work in their favor as well.
Well, you know, they could use that emotion as with a young team to really come out here and get off to a great start. We'll have to see how they react. Indiana, how slow will they get off?
This is Wade fouled as he hits the shot. Count it. And a foul on the play, and Tinsley, the point guard for the Pacers, will pick it up. Our officials tonight, Dick Bavetta, James Capers, and Tom Washington.
Well, again, Dwayne Wade, you're going to see a lot of high screen roll action. He's going to come off that pick, and he wants to get the ball inside the lane. But you can see, as the playoffs have gone along, he's become a little bit more confident with that jump shot. And as he grows as a player, and he can start making that 20-footer with confidence, his game is even going to grow by more leaps and bounds than it already has.
And here comes Tinsley out of Iowa State, and this is Jermaine O'Neal, who averaged a double-double in the regular season, rebound by Lamar Odom.
Well, you got to keep your eye on the rebounding, too. In the regular season, Indiana pounded Miami on the boards, beating by 10 rebounds a game.
Tinsley the other way. Drawing a double, Foster's inside. And retained, and a foul called on Foster as Caron Butler was going the other way.
Well, Jeff Foster brings his team tremendous energy. He's not a guy they're going to go too much on the offensive end. He's a great offensive rebounder. He's a guy who gives them hustle points. And when their season really, I thought, kicked into high gear this year, he went into the starting lineup. He's done a great job. You see him, his versatility. He's guarding Lamar Odom tonight rather than having Jermaine O'Neal guarding. They're keeping O'Neal around the post against Brian Grant.
It's Lamar Odom. Averaged 16 points a game in the playoffs. Here comes Tinsley for the Indiana Pacers. Best record in the NBA, 61 wins and 21 losses. A great home record. They go inside as Foster watches it get kicked out of bounds. Shot clock at 14.
You know, Kevin, you can do everything right in the 11 days you're Indiana. You can rest, you can practice hard, you cannot simulate game conditions. You just cannot do it. I mean, you try your best. How long will it take Indiana to get back into that rhythm of playing the basketball we saw during the regular season?
Reggie Miller, Ron Artest, who loves to play down low. And O'Neal, covered by black uniforms, and a three launched and missed by Tinsley with the rebound by Caron Butler.
Nice job by Miami with the block down.
Look at the defense. Butler on the fly.
Well, he's playing great. He's the one in Game 7. He got them off to a great start. Hit his first two shots. They never looked back. Had 11 of his 23 points in the first quarter. He was really the catalyst in Game 7 for his team.
He brings them such great energy.
Well, and he's getting healthy. You know, he's hurt to start the year. Now he's healthy and his confidence is soaring.
That's Jermaine O'Neal's shot. Jeff Foster, a great offensive rebounder as Foster. And when he went up and got that, he was fouled. And Grant picks up his first for Miami.
Caron Butler is a guy that he's worked very hard with his coaches. Bob McAdoo, one of the all-time best shooters in the NBA, has worked hard with this young guy. This was the first two shots of Game 7. He buried them both, and all of his teammates said what a great lift it was for them. As I said, he had 11 points in that quarter of his 23, but jump-started the team. And everybody then just sort of followed his lead the rest of the way.
And when you think of his season, he began the season with left knee surgery, so he had kind of a slow start to the year.
Yeah, and you know, and that's one of the reasons why they started slow. They were 0-7, and you can see as he's come back, they've had one of the strongest finishes. They were 21-7 after the All-Star break. In March, they were 11 games under 500. Made a tremendous surge to finish 2 over. Stan Van Gundy has done a marvelous job with this team. He should be very proud, taking over for one of the all-time great coaches in Pat Riley.
Yeah, you're right. March 2nd, they were 25-36, Doug. It's an incredible turnaround. They're all on the same page. Here comes Wade through some traffic. Great hook pass, caught by Odom. And Caron Butler. They were talking about his point of release, how that is different since working with McAdoo, like you just talked about.
Well, when he gets himself in trouble, he hangs on the shot and he shoots it on the way down, and the shot gets very flat. When he shoots it with confidence, he has nice trajectory. You saw it on that shot.
Pacers have started this game 0 of 4. Here's a Miami foul. Caron Butler picks up his first.
Now watch the release on this. He goes up and lets it go. Look at the trajectory. He gets it over the top of Ron Artest. Nice lift, nice elevation. Now what it'll do, it'll open up his game now where he can get back to the boards. And you want to talk about a shooter. That guy, Bob McAdoo, one of the best of all time.
And what about this one of the best of all time? Reggie Miller and Wade. This great-looking rookie comes onto the pack, and he's off to the races. Butler again. Rebound by Foster. Quickly to Tinsley, approaching the 9-minute mark of the first quarter.
Now, Indiana wants to run, but they want to run for post-up, not jump shots. The only jump shots they want are from Reggie Miller, not the rest of the guys early.
Tinsley for three. He is a 37% three-point shooter in the playoffs.
I talked to Stan Van Gundy before the game, and I said, are you going to make Tinsley make shots? And he said, you know, the guy's shooting 37% from the three. He's starting to knock those shots down, and you see it here early in the game. That was a very confident stroke.
Here comes Miami. They are 3 of 6 so far from the field. Tinsley is on Wade, and off to Brian Grant. Rebound by Jermaine O'Neal.
Well, Brian Grant's really banged up. I don't even know how he's playing. He's got a very, very sore back. He's just gutting this game out. And it's not going to get any easier, Kevin. They play 4 games in the next 7 days in this series. So, I mean, it's not going to be easy.
If anyone needs some time, you're right, it's Grant. He did not practice yesterday because that sore back, but a good steal right there. The turnovers now 1 for Indiana and none for Miami.
How about this matchup, though? Look at Jeff Foster. Now, he's 7 feet tall. Look at him move his feet.
Grant short. Foster got up off his haunches and got the rebound.
Brian Grant's really laboring. He is really struggling to get up and down the floor, and he's got to bang against this guy, Jermaine O'Neal.
And O'Neal gets the foul out of Grant. He picks up his second for the Miami Heat.
See, they really have no other big people. Udonis Haslem is about 6'8". But the one thing about the Miami Heat, they don't have any size. And so that's why Indiana so pounded them inside this year. They shot 40 more free throws in the regular season against them in 3 games. He had 10 more rebounds. And you can just see Brian Grant. This guy is a warrior. I talked to the team doctor, Harlan Selznick, before the game, and I said, is Brian Grant going to play? And he said, yes. He said, a lot of guys would not play tonight, but he's going to be out there and try to give everything he has. This guy right here is some kind of player.
He's 32 years old. He had 3 years in Sacramento. He had 3 years with the Portland Trail Blazers. This is his 4th season with the Miami Heat. You got a big wrap around his belly and going around the lower part of his back.
Well, he's wearing that to keep the heat in his back. I'm wearing that to keep my girth in, Coach. So we wear those things for different reasons,
I
okay?
know, but you're telling me.
Okay. I just want you to know there's different reasons for those belts.
Well, at least you're honest.
Well, yeah.
So Haslem is in. And Wade works on Tinsley, knocked away by Tinsley. That's the first Miami turnover. And it's off to Miller. He gets by Eddie Jones. Tinsley's open. And Miller around Butler. Rebound, Jeff Foster trying to go up with another offensive rebound and a foul.
Reggie's very upset. He's felt a couple times he's gotten contact on his shot. That's a nice matchup. He and Eddie Jones, they play very well against each other. But again, Jeff Foster on the offensive boards, and this takes its toll. Kevin, Indiana's not shooting the ball well. They're getting more shots at the basket. They're getting second shots. You start getting to the free throw line. Sort of like a heavyweight fight where they just pound you down until the 4th quarter. You got nothing left.
Eddie Jones picks up his first foul for the Miami Heat. 7.5 to play in the first quarter. 3-second violation. It's a defensive 3-second. It was on Lamar Odom. If you take a look at Rick Carlisle, here's an interesting fact about Rick Carlisle. He comes from Detroit, is Coach of the Year, wins the Central Division, won the Central Division last year, wins the Central Division as the coach of another team, Indiana, this year. 3 consecutive division titles, all in the same division, but with 2 different teams.
Well, he's a terrific coach. I mean, he showed that in Detroit. He's shown that here. And the thing I love about Rick is he's come in here. It's a different style of play than what Isaiah was more of an up-tempo coach. This is more of a control the tempo, pound it inside, call more plays. And it wasn't an easy sell early, but his team respected him. They bought into it, and they have the best record in the league.
Indiana has never led. Miami is led by as many as 5. That's knocked out of bounds. 8 seconds on the shot clock, and the rebounding in the game +2 Indiana. There's some blood out there. There's some moisture. Dick Pavetta will bring out one of the ball boys, and they will wipe it up. You take a look at the rebounding story right there. And our leading scorer so far with 4 points is Caron Butler with the Miami Heat. Miami has lost 9 consecutive games to the Indiana Pacers dating back to March 2002. With the shot clock down, it's O'Neal.
Well, this young guy has so developed. I am so impressed with his maturity. Remember the first 3 years, he out in Portland, didn't get a chance to play much, was traded here for Dale Davis, and has just grown as a player. There's Eddie Jones going to be called on the offensive fouls. He tries to back into Reggie Miller. These two guys have seen a lot of each other during the course of time in their careers.
That is a second foul called on Eddie Jones. Jones usually defends Miller pretty well.
Well, these guys know it. They both play a lot about the basketball. Neither one of them post. They both run off screens. And they both know each other's nuances out there on the floor. And you can see Reggie that time, as Eddie Jones just sort of backed into him, he just sort of stopped and got the contact.
Now they go a little bit smaller. They bring in Rafer Alston. There's an Indiana turnover. That's the second on them.
You see, watch Reggie here. He gets behind him, and there he just sort of bangs back into him. That's a Reggie move. You'll see him do that later in the game. He'll probably be called on it as well. So both of them using their own tricks on each other.
Miami has hit a 3, and Indiana has not hit a 3 as of yet. This is Dwayne Wade pinching on Reggie Miller. Rebound Haslam, fighting against Foster, counted for 2 and a foul.
You think about this Miami Heat team, and what a great job Pat Riley has done here now. He's the guy who was in charge of personnel, but I look out there. He drafted Dwayne Wade. He drafted Caron Butler. The offensive rebound here by Udonis Haslam, who he signed as a free agent. He's been playing over internationally. Signs Lamar Odom as a free agent. They are really a really good big man away from being a terrific team here in the Eastern Conference. Question is going to be can they come up with that big guy? They tried to sign Elton Brand last year. The Clippers matched the offer sheet, so when they matched, they ended up signing Lamar Odom. But they got to find a way to get a big guy.
Hanson's free throw gives Miami a 1-point lead. Pacers have led by as many as 2. They now trap Tinsley at midcourt. Timeout taken by Indiana. We've got some foul issues as well. Jeff Foster has 2 for Indiana. 2 fouls apiece on Eddie Jones and Brian Grant of Miami. This is game 1, Eastern Conference semifinal. Go from wondering how to knowing how at the Home Depot. You can do it, and we can help. By Adidas, impossible is nothing. By Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers. And by Miller, vote Miller for president of beers. Good call. With Doug Collins, Kevin Harlan, the third member of our crew is Charles Davis.
Thank you, Kevin. Rick Carlisle had many suggestions about what to do with the 11 days off since their last ball game against Boston. One local columnist said, why doesn't the team take a cruise and come back rested? He opted for a more traditional approach, but one with a competitive edge. All drills in practice, they utilized a competitive scoring angle in doing it in order to keep the team sharp. And with 15 healthy bodies, they split the team into 3 teams of 5 and let them scrimmage, complete with referees, again, with winners declared each time out. Anything to try and keep their edge before tonight's game. Kevin?
I guarantee you Mickey Harrison would have put him on a cruise. He could have very easily, the Miami owner would have loved to put him on a cruise, let him rest a little bit.
We got some foul problems out of that break, and Miami has got Haslam, Odom, Caron Butler with the ball, Wade, and here's Rafer Alston. That is the 5 out there for Miami. As Alston finds Butler, who's picked up by Ron Artest. And Al Harrington in the game is on Lamar Odom. Shot clock is down to 4. Harrington knocks it away. Artest comes up with it out there. Tinsley, Miller, O'Neal. Artest with the ball, and Harrington coming from behind in a Miami foul, and it goes inside on Haslam, who picks up his first, and Haslam has taken the place of the team-fouled Brian Grant.
We talked to Stan Van Gundy before the game, and I talked to him about Ron Artest. I said, this guy, you look at his numbers, he did a great job. He was 7 for 36 his last 2 games shooting the basketball against him. The problem is he's gotten to the free throw line 29 times in those 2 games. Tonight they're in the penalty right here at the 5:51 mark. But what Ron Artest does, as you watch the game, he's so strong, he will drag the ball up through your arms, and you can't reach in on him or you're going to put him on the line. So a big key for Miami is keep Ron Artest off that foul line.
Keep everybody off the foul line.
Absolutely.
Right now, that is exactly what Indiana is doing, as you talked about earlier.
Well, they're 2 of 10 from the floor, so they've gotten off to a slow start, but the free throw line is keeping them alive until they get the rhythm.
So the Pacers from the line have gone 6 of 7. Miami 2 of 2. Pushed outside shot. Go up once again. O'Neal with the rebound. And Jermaine O'Neal has collected 4 rebounds with his 3 points.
Here's the post up now with Artest trying to post up Wade. Trouble.
We've had 3 lead changes, 2 ties. And a foul called on Dwayne Wade, number 1 on him.
This guy, Ron Artest, Kevin, is so competitive and so strong. I remember coaching in Washington. Michael Jordan was playing in a game against Chicago Bulls at the time. He got to the point where he was 2 points shy of getting 30,000. Ron Artest fouled him, and Michael was going to go to the line to make the 2 free throws to get 30,000. Ron Artest came over by our bench and was like, punching his scoring table. He was so upset because he did not want Michael to get the 30,000 points with him guarding him. This guy is a tough, he weighs about 250 pounds. He can guard 3 different positions out there, and he's got quick hands and quick feet. He is a load inside.
When Michael was practicing before he was deciding about his comeback, wasn't he going up against Artest in some of those practices?
Yeah, he actually, Ron sort of twisted him a little bit and broke a couple of his ribs, so not a fun experience for MJ as he was getting himself back into shape.
That's Rafer Alston with the missed shot, the rebound by Jermaine O'Neal.
This is Indiana's best front line. Jermaine O'Neal goes to center, Harrington is a power forward, and Ron Artest.
And Wade again with Alston, 3-on-3. But look at the transition defense for the Indiana Pacers. Nonetheless, Haslam had a wide open look out of bounds off Indiana.
Well, we talked to Stan Van Gundy before the game, and I said, you played against the New Orleans team. That's a big, strong power team. And he said, yeah, the difference is Indiana's big guys have great quickness. He said, so we have a difficult time keeping the ball out of the post. Against New Orleans, we did a pretty good job. He said, they get the ball inside against us, and that's why they get to the free throw line so often.
Anthony Johnson is coming for Indiana. Reggie Miller taking a breather. Artest is watching Caron Butler. Now Miami, Doug, has missed 9 of their last 10 shots from the field.
Well, you can see Indiana's locking in. Now, this is their strength, their defense, and we heard Charles Barkley talk last night about Bruce Bowen being one of the top 2 defensive perimeter players in the league. Well, you're looking at the other one right here, Ron Artest.
Artest against Butler. Rebound Artest.
Just throw the ball up there in traffic off the board and go get it.
Ron Artest, the defensive player of the year, has worked very hard on his offensive game as well.
This is a critical time right now for Miami. They're coming into a series. No one expects them to win. Indiana is going to pound them and pound them and pound them some more. They've got to be able to stand up to it and not get discouraged. Stan Van Gundy's got to give his team a little pep talk here tonight.
As we were breaking to commercial, this is what happened on the sideline. Stan Van Gundy had to be restrained as he was talking with Al Harrington. And with that little exchange right there, Dick Pavetta teed up Harrington for the Indiana Pacers. And he had to go back to the huddle and have to explain his actions to Coach Rick Carlisle.
Well, Indiana's done a good job this year. You look at their team last year, and I thought one of the things they did, they lost their poise. Playoff series, they got a little carried away with some of the activities. You look at the numbers, Kevin. Last year they had 25 flagrant fouls, 92 technicals. This year, 3 flagrants, only 59 technicals. And that guy, Rick Carlisle, has 18 of the 59 technicals, and Ron Artest only has 5. So he's done a nice job this year. This team, if I would say, their maturity and their poise is the real difference I see this year and last year.
Technical shot was good by Rafer Alston. Miami will take it. Anthony Johnson remains in the game for the Indiana Pacers. Reggie Miller is on the bench. Fred Jones is in the game for Indiana with Artest, Harrington, and Jermaine O'Neal. Here comes Wade. Miami has only struggled from the field so many times in this series, but tonight they're doing it. Only 1 field goal the last 6 minutes. Haslam with the miss. Tapped in by Odom. Rebound by Harrington. Here comes Anthony Johnson.
Anthony Johnson, a key member off the bench. Remember, he did good work for New Jersey in the playoffs the last couple seasons.
And a travel on Ron Artest. I've seen more traveling violations, Doug Collins, in the playoffs than I think we had in the entire regular season.
Well, I think the referees were told, we've got to get a better handle on this. I thought earlier in the year, guys were getting away with a lot of traveling. And, we saw the other night in Sacramento, Chris Webber called twice late in the game in the fourth quarter. So it's obvious they're watching the walking.
Here's Butler, and it's off to Wade. Screen by Haslam. The flashy defense by O'Neal, who's now late getting back to Haslam. Rebound by Al Harrington.
Indiana does such a good job. Their big men are so mobile. They can get out on those screen rolls and get back to their own man.
Haslam is on O'Neal.
Loves to shoot that little spinning jump shot on the baseline.
Here's Artest, who worked endlessly on his outside shot this past summer. It's paid off. O'Neal.
That shot right there, either a jump shot or a jump hook. That's his little move. What he does, he's learning to create space with his body. A little bump enough to create that space and get the shot off.
Horrible shooting both ways. Indiana shooting 31% and Miami shooting 20% for the game.
Look at Al Harrington working in the post. Look where Lamar Odom is. He's almost in front of the Indiana bench, pushed completely off the block. Look at the shots that Miami are getting. Indiana has them totally out of their offense.
Anthony Johnson with the screen from O'Neal. And outside it goes to Fred Jones. And dunk champ inside Ron Artest.
What a great pass. Wonderful pass by Fred Jones away from the defender. And Ron Artest, he gets it down there, that big body on you. You are locked. Caron Butler could not get around it.
Indiana is on a 9-1 run. Miami has the ball. They've missed their last 10 consecutive shots from the field. As Wade takes it inside on Jones. A three by Odom. The rebound chased and retrieved by Anthony Johnson. Rebounding +3 for Indiana in the game. +3.
They're going again now. This time it's Al Harrington.
Rebound by Haslam.
They got every time down. It's either going to be Harrington, Artest, or O'Neal, and they're going to play off those three men.
It's Wade with another Miami miss. Miami is led by 5. Indiana has led by as many as 7. And we're down to a minute and a half to play in the first quarter.
You can see Rick Carlisle is going to orchestrate every play. This was called specifically to go to Ron Artest.
Ron Artest asked Larry Bird, what should I work on? How can I improve my game? Larry Bird said, get your jump shot down. That's what he did, and it is shown this season.
Well, hit your jump shot, get to the free throw line, your game just expands, and that's what he's doing. I tell you, Indiana is very active. Rick Carlisle has to be very happy the way his team has come out. Every shot contested. Look at the hustle.
Shot clock at 2. And Indiana 5. It's on Harrington. First on him.
I felt going into this game tonight, if Miami was going to have a chance to get a game in this series, tonight was going to be critical because there's 4 games in 7 days. And look at the scramble on the floor. Guys diving for loose balls. Caron Butler goes inside, gets the bump. And Dick Pavetta had a charge. Tommy Washington called a block. And Tommy Washington had a better look. So Caron Butler will shoot the two free throws.
Austin Crozier is coming the game for the Indiana Pacers. And Malik Allen is set to come in for the Miami Heat.
And one of the things Miami is not is deep. They basically played 7 guys in the 7-game series against New Orleans. You're going to see Malik Allen. He has the capability to roll out and make shots. But as you can see, they just don't have the power size. Looks like Lamar Odom going to the locker room. We'll have to check on him. We'll get Charles Davis over to check on him. Looks like he might have a slight cut below his lip.
He got a bad cut around the eye in New Orleans in the middle of that New Orleans-Miami series. He had to go in there for some stitches.
And this is only game 1.
That was such a physical series between Miami and New Orleans.
And you jump right into this. This is going to be even tougher.
No fouls to give either way.
Right down to the block again. If you help, Artest will spot up and shoot a 3.
Harrington.
And they're just overmatched inside. I mean, Al Harrington, look at the size of this guy. I mean, he probably weighs 250, 55 pounds. Artest, O'Neal, Crozier in the game. Remember, he had the big playoff series a couple years ago.
Miami has missed their last 13 shots. The shot clock now with 7. Wade surrounded by defenders, but left the double ball.
Well, you had to work hard for that one. Every shot contested.
Ron Artest is the game's leading scorer with 10. He's got the ball right now, working on Caron Butler. As the first quarter winds down, Artest trying to fight for his shot. The bump. And the rebound inside. And that takes us to the conclusion of the first quarter. Miami jumped off to a 5-point lead. Indiana came back. The Heat led 10-9 with 6:37 left in the first quarter. The Pacers go on a 14 player for the Indiana Pacers is Jermaine O'Neal, who leaves the first quarter with 5 points and 4 rebounds.
Well, game plan very simple for Indiana. Go inside. We talked to Rick Carlisle before the game. We're not going to run for jump shots unless it's Reggie Miller. Great steal by Ron Artest. He gets the ball inside. And when you take a look at the numbers, Indiana did not shoot well in the first quarter. Only 7 of 18 for less than 39%. But Kevin Harrington, Artest, O'Neal have 17 of the 23 points and have taken 12 of the 18 shots. Keep pounding it inside, try to wear Miami down. And if you get the double teams, and let the outside shots start to flow.
Miami is only shooting 21%. Doug just told you 7 of 18 for the Indiana Pacers starting the second quarter. Ron Artest, Al Harrington, Johnson, Crozier, and Fred Jones, the Indiana 5. This is Austin Crozier, who played at Providence. At the underneath portion of the backboard, and ricochets right to Ray Alston with Butler and Eddie Jones launching a 3. Good! And Miami needed that in the worst way. It's their first 3-point hit tonight.
Well, that's what Miami has to do. Create some turnovers and get in the broken court a little bit. If they get into a half-court game, they're going to get mashed. So they've got to get out and get some early offense.
Lamar Odom is in the Miami locker room getting stitches on his chin. Alston, Allen, Haslam out there with Butler and Jones. That sets the lineups for both teams. And a shot by Freddie Jones, who gives Indiana the 25-18 lead.
Well, the slam dunk champion, he throned Jason Richardson. Looked pretty good on that jump shot there.
Jones playing with 2 fouls. Into Haslam, contorts his body with the rebound by Harrington. And now Anthony Johnson the other way. Indiana Pacers sweeping their first round series with Boston. They haven't played in 11 days. And here they are against Miami, who played over 17 days, 7 games against New Orleans. Harrington inside.
See, Miami is not a team that double teams well. We talked to Stan Van Gundy before the game. I said he was going to double the post. He said we don't do a good job of it. They're going to have to start trying, because right now they're getting pounded inside. They got to make those guys give the ball up, or at least try to make Indiana make some outside jump shots.
Miami had 2 field goal trouts. Haslam from point-blank range and trapped in by Malik Allen. In that first quarter, Miami had field goal trouts of 3 minutes and 13 seconds and of 6 minutes and 20 seconds.
But they're very fortunate to only be down 7, 5 for 24 in the first quarter.
Artest for 3. Butler with the rebound. Ray for Alston. Haslam is open. Harrington's defense is late.
Haslam's giving him a great lift off the bench as Brian Grant hurt his back earlier, was having trouble with that back. And Haslam has come into the game after Grant picked up his second foul and has done a nice job. He has a couple field goals, gotten on the boards. He has 5 points, but given some nice energy.
Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers Eastern Conference Semifinals Game 1 on TN. Up 2 games to none. Tony Parker at 20 points. He's playing about as well as anybody in the postseason right now. Mike Bibby is the other guy got to keep an eye on. Back-to-back 30-plus point games against Dallas in Game 5 and Minnesota in Game 1. And Pacer forward Jermaine O'Neal wins the Magic Johnson Award Wednesday for his cooperation with the media. That was called the Doug Collins Award because of Doug's total cooperation with the media when he played in his terrific career. Speaking about terrific careers, there's a guy who had a pretty good career with the Boston Celtics.
Well, put champion next to his name. That, you think of Larry Bird, you think of championships. Magic Johnson, who he had a great rivalry with, has turned into a wonderful friendship. Michael Jordan. How about some of the champions that we've seen in the playoffs? And this is where champions are made, this time of the season.
Crozier with the ball. Brian Grant back in the game. And a kick it outside. Jonathan Bender with his angular moves going toward the lane. The foul is called. Indiana had a big lead of 10 at 23-13. It was cut down to 5 with a good move by Miami late. Foul goes on Rasul Butler. And then you take a look at Lamar Odom. He has 3 stitches, we are told, in his chin. He will come back. Odom, by the way, 0-5 to start the game. He played 11 minutes in that first quarter. It's Johnson to Crozier. Allen on him. And now over Grant. Rebound by Brian Grant inside for the Miami Heat. Miami is shooting 27% from the floor.
You can see Indiana right now has 5 reserves. They go 10 deep on this strength of their team as well, their bench.
Ray Allen with the bench, Crozier with the rebound. And it's +1 in rebounding for the Indiana Pacers in the game. And a foul. Allen goes tumbling down. It's a Indiana foul. Looks like Crozier making Harrington. We could have called that either way, and a foul called. Harrington picks up his second. This is from the middle of the series with New Orleans a couple weeks ago on a Saturday afternoon for the Heat in Louisiana. He had 6 stitches on that eyelid.
That was game 3, and he couldn't get back to the game soon. That was a very close game. Missed about 5 minutes of that game. New Orleans went on to win that game, made it a tough 7-game series.
Eddie Jones down the lane, crashing into Indiana defenders, and that is a foul. And it goes inside, looks like Jermaine O'Neal, he did, picking up his first.
Well, Jermaine O'Neal says, what did I do? I went up vertically. I own that position as much as the offensive player does. Eddie Jones jumped into me. But Eddie Jones did the smart thing. He was in trouble, no place to go, and you got to hope the official helps you there in that situation. He got the contact.
Eddie Jones stands on the shot. I wonder if Miami, just think of the change they have gone through, Doug, since the All-Star break, winning a first-round playoff battle in 7 games with New Orleans. This is not the same team. They have literally changed their stripes as the season has gone on.
Oh, no question. They've grown. This team is a very close team. They play very, very well together. They count on each other. They enjoy playing the game. Stan's done a very nice job with this team, and like I said, they're a big man away from being a very, very good Eastern Conference team.
Indiana tonight shooting 41% from the floor. And O'Neal is shy. Rebound by Brian Grant, who picks up his second rebound of the game.
Miami quietly's taking that little surge, and they are only down 4 right now, so they're hanging in there.
Wow. I mean, with what they've gone through over the last 17 days, Grant got a great pass from Jones.
Well, I thought that Stan Van Gundy took a nice timeout. His team was on the ropes. He got them together. They were getting pounded inside, and they got their composure back. They're growing up. They're getting better shots. And they're knocking them down.
Miami is on a 12-4 run. Jonathan Bender with a quick move across the lane.
This young guy can really jump, and he's a tremendous three-point shooter when he gets him shoulder square to the basket. You just keep waiting for him to take off as a player.
Indiana has led by 10. Miami has led by as many as 5. Rasul Butler. And a rebound inside by Freddie Jones.
That's not a good shot there by Rasul Butler. You cut this thing to 4. You want to make sure you get high percentage shots.
Leading scorer Ron Artest is on the bench, and Freddie Jones working inside with the defense of Grant and Jones in a vice grip. And 13 seconds on the shot clock as Grant talks with James Capers. One of our 3 officials tonight. James Capers' dad was a longtime NBA referee. And Alston, Jones, Allen, along with Grant and Butler in the game. Rasul Butler. Piranha's on the bench. Charge, tuck it away. Then on point by Jermaine O'Neal.
And you can look at the look on Brian Grant's face. You can just see that he's wincing every time. I mean, Jermaine O'Neal, look at the quickness. As he spins in here, right there, the little elbow to the ribs. So you got a bad back, you get a shot to the ribs. And again, this has just come off a tough 7-game series, and Kevin, again, 4 games in 7 days in this series to catch up because that other series went so long.
And Malik Allen kicks it out, and Alston for 3. Grant got a hand on it, finally inhales the rebound, and Allen trying to tap it in, cannot.
Boy, Al Harrington there telling his teammates, come back and get on the boards. Miami, 4 chances there.
Johnson, the fired-up Harrington. Rebound by Grant. How is Grant surviving with all that pain in his back? He's got 4 rebounds.
So competitive spirit. Eddie
stepped out of bounds.
Yeah,
stepped out of bounds.
You know, you see that a lot, Kevin, because the 3-point line in the corner is so close to the out-of-bounds line. When you catch the ball, in many instances, you start to drive, you step back, and you step out of bounds. And you see that happen all the time.
Doug, Stan Van Gundy has immersed himself in the Hornets for the last 17 days. How in a day and a half does he prepare his team for the best team record-wise in the NBA, Indiana?
You count on your defensive principles to carry you through right now, about the way you want to do things, how you want to play screen roll, how you want to play the post. And then as the series goes on, you try to make the necessary adjustments. But you count on what's worked for you all year.
Harrington, by Allen.
Combination, speed, power, toughness. See, people don't give Indiana credit. This is a tough team. This is a physically and mentally tough team.
You just saw the points in the paint, +4 for Indiana. The drive by Alston inside, right by the Indiana defense. He showed some checks. He had an 11.7 rebound, game 7. Grant and O'Neal are banging together, and Grant picks up a foul. That's the third on him, and that is trouble for Miami. And a timeout and a technical foul goes on Brian Grant. So we've had 2 technicals in a quarter and a half of this Game 1 Eastern Conference semifinal.
Well, we remember how emotional that New Orleans-Miami series was. This is 2 strong teams that are going at one another early. Rayford Alston with a nice little penetration in the score. Brian Grant working hard on the other end. What a load he's playing against.
Preventer for Bill Russell, who is standing by with our Charles Davis.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Russell, you were out here tonight and you presented the Defensive Player of the Year award to Ron Artest. You obviously were known for defense during your career. What do you think of that young man's defense?
I've watched him all season, and he really works at it. The key to being a good defensive player is to set yourself up to play and work hard.
Another great defensive player on the Indiana Pacers is Jermaine O'Neal, a young man that you've worked with in the offseason intermittently over time. How about his development in this league?
You know, I remember when he first came in the league as a high school kid, and he has really lived up his potential. I think he is a great player already.
No doubt about it. Just like this man right here. Kevin?
All right, Charles, thank you very much. That was something that Russell took great pride in, is working with Jermaine O'Neal, who sought out Russell's help.
Well, that's a smart move. And you know what Bill Russell used to always do? He said, I don't know how many shots I'm going to block, and nor do you. But you're always going to be looking for him when you go to the basket. And just sometimes the lack of concentration you have as you look around for him to block that shot alternates a lot of shots around the basket. But, you know, how about all the champions we have walking around this building? We showed Larry Bird, Bill Russell. I mean, I can only imagine what Bill Russell must be sitting here watching and thinking about the flashbacks of playing for world championships and what that must feel like.
There's a technical free throw, as you saw, and that was on Brian Grant. That's how we began this section. A shot outside by Rayford Alston. Keeping Miami right in it, down by 3. The Heat are trailed by as many as 10. Here comes Indiana. 9 different Pacers have scored, Doug, in this game.
Well, Miami 11 for 37 from the floor. How are they only down by 2? They've gotten 10 more shots at the basket because of 8 offensive rebounds. So they're shooting poorly, but they're getting more shots.
It's Jermaine O'Neal.
So you'll live with that. I mean, that's a contested shot. Haslam got a hand up. You keep him off the foul line, and you make him work hard. Stan Van Gundy can live with that shot.
Look how many more field goal attempts Miami has taken off of Indiana, and that's something that you've been talking about throughout this game. We got an Odom drive and a foul inside. Now 10 more field goal attempts, and the foul goes on Harrington. And you take a look at Stan Van Gundy.
He has done a terrific job. You know, imagine now, you know, you're 4 days away from starting the season, and you have Pat Riley, one of the all-time great coaches, come up to you and said, you know what, I don't think I'm going to coach this year. I need to get away from it. This team needs a new voice. I want you to coach this team. You start out 0-7, and you got Pat Riley up there in the skybox watching you. But Stan has done a great job. And you can only imagine, you know, his father, I saw him the other day at the game down in Miami, what he must feel like, the pride he must feel when he sees Jeff and Stan, and the mark they're making in the coaching rank at the highest level. This is got to be a real joy for the Van Gundys.
2 outstanding coaches in the NBA. You look at the free throws, the Pacers only 1 attempt more than Miami. That was a key statistic tonight because Indiana, like what Artest is doing right now, likes to pound it inside. Rebound by Caron Butler back in there with Odom, Jones, Haslam, and Wade. That's a trip and a foul called on Jamal Tinsley, who is out there with Foster, who's back off the bench, although he's got a couple fouls. Reggie Miller, O'Neal, and Artest. And that is the second foul on Tinsley.
Well, Miami has worked themselves back into this game. Again, it hasn't been pretty. We always talk about finishing quarters. Remember, Indiana finished with a 14-5 run in that first quarter to push the lead. Let's see if Miami can hold on here and stay close.
3 lead changes, 3 ties in this game. Dwayne Wade. Shot clock is at 8. Caron Butler. Lamar Odom against Foster. Haslam. Tailed by O'Neal. Rebound by Foster and off to Jamal Tinsley.
Well, great defensive sequence. The starters are back for Indiana. Rick Carlisle wants to make a push right now.
It's O'Neal. Travel. And the turnovers now. 9 for the Indiana Pacers and just 4 for the Miami Heat. So more field goal attempts. Turning it over less and staying right together at the free throw line. Just some of the reasons why they're this close.
And offensive rebounding.
Right.
So you get multiple shots, you can shoot a lower percentage, and that's what Miami's doing right now.
Ryan Grant has 3 fouls. He's the only player in the game with 3. Lamar Odom. He gets it to go. He's a favorite of yours, isn't he?
I love him. He's really matured this year. He's come into this organization. He's got great leadership from the coaches and from Pat Riley and the organization. He's really grown up as a player. He's healthy, having fun playing.
Artest trying to grind his way on Butler.
Now, Caron Butler did everything right. Ron Artest just made a good shot. That's one of those you tap him going down the floor and say, hey, good shot.
Miami for the game, shooting 31%.
We got to get Caron Butler involved. I know he has Artest playing against him, but he's only gotten 4 shots at the basket. There's a charge.
Wade picks up a charge. Now he's developed a nice outside shot because at Marquette he was more of an attack the basket guy, but in the NBA he's kind of varied his game.
Still doesn't trust it as much as the Miami coaching staff would like for him to, but that's going to come with time. The more success he has making those jumpers, the more he will trust them. Right now, when in times of trouble, he's going to lower his head and try to get to that basket.
Indiana 45% from the floor. Here's Ron Artest, pounded by Caron Butler, again playing him well. And again, the same result for Artest.
He's just so strong. Again, I mean, you see the way he tries to take the ball up. He's still trying to draw the foul and still has the capability to make that shot. I mean, that's power.
Artest, the only player in double figures with 14 game high. Ron Butler now trying to do the same thing to Artest at the other end. And does! Right between the eyes.
That's a good move right there. Caron Butler's got to make Artest play on both ends. He's got to make him use some energy because on this end, he's having to play every possession. They're going right to Artest on every possession.
Artest with the drive into both Butler and Odom. Foul called inside. And it goes on Butler for the second time, where this game has had a great pace to it. Much like the city we are playing in, Indianapolis, with the 500 coming up later in this month of
Playoffs continue on TNT. Ernie Johnson in Studio A in Atlanta. The Verizon Wireless halftime report comes your way in just a couple of minutes. Charles is here, so is Kenny, and so is Magic Johnson. They'll break down the first half, and you will hear from Phil Jackson with the Lakers down to the Spurs 2-0. Now let's get back to Kevin and Doug, guys.
EJ, thank you very much as they show the Lawrence O'Brien Trophy here in Indianapolis. They won some ABA championships here in Indiana back in the day, but they have yet to capture an NBA championship. But this is one of their best attempts at doing it. They got a great team. And one of the great stories about this Indiana team is how Reggie Miller, who was front and center the last time they made the finals, really took a more reserved role with this new group they've tried to develop for another run at the finals.
Well, after they were beaten in the finals, they changed their team. They traded away veteran players. They brought in Jermaine O'Neal from Portland. They traded Dale Davis. You see Donnie Walsh there. The president and architect of this team along with Larry Bird, but you had Jermaine O'Neal. You had Al Harrington, who was a young player. He started playing more. And what Reggie did was a lot what David Robinson did at San Antonio. He went to Jermaine O'Neal and he said, this has got to be your team. I'm here to support you. It's going to be your team. I can't do it at the level I used to. I can do it, in times of need. But this has to be your team, and I support you. And it really gave Jermaine O'Neal a great confidence to be able to do that. what David Robinson did to Tim Duncan. When you come in and you're a young player and you have a great player ahead of you, when that person passes the torch, it makes it so much more easy for you.
Down to the final 2:05 remaining in this first half. Great move by Butler getting around two, but no wonder he was looking so good down there. He traveled, took one too many steps. Jermaine O'Neal is a blossoming superstar if he isn't there already. But one of the biggest players in this game in terms of what he does on the floor, but little known really around the NBA in a lot of ways.
Well, he's a terrific defender, too. That's what I love about him. He plays the all-round game. He doesn't just play one end of the floor.
It's Tinsley for three. And now three-point shooting tonight. The Indiana Pacers, 3 of 6. The Miami Heat, 1 of 4.
We talk about that little surge. The starters are on the floor for Indiana. They're trying to push it to double digits. Miami must execute here at the end of this half.
It's Jeff Foster on Odom.
Tough to isolate against this team. They just lock up and load up against that paint. Every shot's contested there, Kevin.
Miami is +1 in rebounding for Ron Butler. Dwayne Wade. Wow.
What's sort of amazing, you look, they're like 14 of 42 right now and down only 6. So they're getting more shots at the basket. The only thing that's preventing them from being down about 15.
Approaching a minute to play. Artest on the move. Foster is there. And Doug, another offensive rebound.
Mr. Energy, you know, he doesn't play with any ego out there in terms of wanting to score points. You got to have guys on your team, Kevin, who will give themselves up, who will play. He's playing Lamar Odom. He said, I'm going to play Lamar Odom. I'm going to go to the offensive boards. I'm not going to worry about shooting the basketball. I'm going to do the little thing.
Both teams have a foul to give. As you get a little nod from Dwayne Wade, 15 seconds on the shot clock. Crozier will come back in. O'Neal will leave. O'Neal has 7 points and 5 rebounds, and in the playoffs, averaging 19 points and 8 rebounds.
I love the way Dwayne Wade is growing up in the playoffs. It's wonderful he can get in as a rookie. It really is going to speed up his development as a player.
And a turnover for Miami. 3 on 2, and they could not convert. That's out of bounds.
That pass had a little too much steam on it.
Well, the vapor trail is going so fast. 37 seconds to play in the first half. Anthony Johnson will check back in the game.
Well, see, Tinsley has 2 fouls, and he does not want, Rick Carlisle does not want him to get his third here with 37 seconds to go, protecting him going into the second half.
The Miami Heat, 17 wins better this season than last at 42-40 as you take a look at Stan Van Gundy. Beating New Orleans over 17 days, 4 games to 3. The Indiana Pacers swept the first-round series with Boston, winning by a margin of 17 points a game. They hadn't played since April 25th. Ron Artest, one of the reasons why they swept. He's a big reason why they lead tonight.
His versatility, his ability to go out on the floor, create a shot, stays with it, gets the offensive rebound, steps out on the floor, hits the jumper. You talked about Bird, talking about how he needs to expand his game, his ability to isolate. Watch him just bang you, create a little space, shoot that little floater. And then the isolation. Rick Carlisle loves to go to matchups. He loves to pick out a guy and say, this is the guy we're going to go to. He went to Artest in a stretch. He has 15 points in the game. O'Neal 7. Harrington 3. So that's 28 of the 44 points scored by the powerful front line of this Indiana Pacer team.
And that was a key for you in this game. Pounding it inside. Watch that front line. How would the smaller Miami team react?
You take your strength, you pit it against the other team and say, stop it. And until you show us that you can do it, you're going to keep going too.
Indiana has beaten Miami 9 consecutive games. 2 of the better defensive teams in the NBA battling tonight as well. Odom, Crozier, and Artest with a timeout for Indiana with 25.3 remaining in the first half, and a 20-second timeout taken by Rick Carlisle, who is really a matchup coach if there's anything. He loves the matchups.
He's a guy that he's going to call most every play, like Jerry Sloan does in Utah. Jerry Sloan and Stockton had a real feel for one another through the years, and Stockton used to always look over to Jerry, see what play he wanted. They were so much on the same page, and that's why it's vital for Jamal Tinsley to play well for Indiana, because he has to control this team. He has to look over to his coach. He has to get the calls, and you can just see the Pacers have made 2 more field goals, 2 more threes, 2 more free throws, 2 here, 2 there, a little bit of that, and then you lead by 8. So after. What Rick Carlisle would like to do here is get the last shot of the period, get a score here, go up 10 or 11 if it's a 3, and feel pretty good about the first half.
Look at Reggie Miller. And Miller so far in this game has only taken 3 shots. He's got a free throw, and that's it. Both teams do have a foul to give. In the final 25.3 seconds, 24-second shot clock to contend with. And here comes Anthony Johnson. Alston is on him. Here's Bender with Caron Butler guarding him.
Look how long his arms are. He's got that pole bomb. And they have a foul to give here. We'll see if Butler uses it.
Bender.
Wow, what elevation. That just took his time. Very mature play.
Indiana equals their biggest lead of 10. And Butler at the buzzer is not hit. And the Indiana Pacers, with the best record in the NBA's regular season of 61 wins, leading by 10 at halftime in this game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinal. Indiana closing out both quarters. First quarter with a 14-5 run. Second quarter with a 12-4 run as we run it over to Charles Davis.
Thanks, Kevin. Jermaine, much has been made of the 11-day layoff. Did you and your teammates get accomplished in the first half what you wanted to here in game 1?
We're pretty happy with the way things are going right now. Obviously, we felt a little rest in the first quarter. We were able to get our feet up under us the second quarter. Hopefully we can turn it up and play the type of defense and offense that we normally play before the 11 days came.
As you come out after the half, what are you looking to do? You talk about turning up the defense. Will there be something different in your game plan?
Well, we just want to keep the pressure up. Obviously, turning it up, turning our intensity up, making better passes and making better shots. We feel like we have the best team in the league. We feel like we have the most depth. If we come out and we play hard on both ends of the floor, I don't think anybody in the league can beat us.
All right, Jermaine, thanks a lot. Good luck in the second half. Kevin?
2 years ago, he was the most improved player in the NBA. He is a 3-time All-Star. He finished 3rd in this year's MVP balloting. He was All-NBA second team. He is one of the best in the NBA, Jermaine O'Neal, leading his team to the best regular season record in the NBA and leading his Indiana Pacers to a 10-point lead at halftime in this game 1 as we take you to Atlanta and Ernie Johnson.
All right, thank you, Kevin Harlan. It is the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report as our 40 games and 40 nights continues. And finally, this Eastern Conference semifinal begins, and the Pacers, with about 4 months off, leading the Heat 46 to 36. And Magic Johnson, the Hall of Famer, is here.
He had 4 months off, too.
So it's Chuck. I haven't seen you since last season, it seems like. And Kenny the Jet
Why do you do that?
What?
You said Hall of Famer Magic Johnson, then you go Kenny the Jet, then you go around. You do it backwards every time.
I just change it up. I want to keep you on your toes.
Okay, good.
Somebody has to do that. 46-36. Kenny, pictures of the first half. Here's I guess the questions. Did Indiana have too much time off? Would they be rusty? Would Miami be all worn out from the series with New Orleans? What answers did you see in the first?
Me talking first, I know I'm not the popular answer or the popular topic up here. I know what these guys are thinking.
It has nothing to do with you talking first.
I know what they're thinking already. But I really believe this series is going to be tougher than people think it is. I think it's going to go longer than you think it is as well.
Chuck's licking his chops. You better get to the video.
But I just look at the matchup. The 2 best defenders on Indiana are Ron Artest and Jermaine O'Neal. But they're not playing guys who are offensive-minded. And the other thing that I see is Rayful Austin. When he's in the game, the team has a lot more continuity. They get fast-break baskets. And Indiana only has 46 points. They don't put a lot of points on the game. So what I see is the best 2 defenders, Artest and O'Neal, don't play the best 2 offensive players never in this series. They'll never play it. Odom and Wade. So those guys, a couple of nights, are going to have big nights and going to make it tough. I don't know they don't win it, but this is going to be a longer and tougher series than people think.
Since he's looking at you as he says that.
Because they're both laughing, but I'm not even looking to my left.
You remember last year you said that about who was
I don't remember.
New Jersey was playing Detroit last year. You said Detroit had a chance when they got swept.
Exactly.
No, I didn't.
Go ahead, Herb. You take it
Bring
first.
out the tape. I never said that last
First of all, you have to remember this. Miami is a hustle team. They're going to get a lot of their points off of offensive rebounds or turnovers. Well, we have to remember this. Indiana will not let them get second chance points. They're big, they're strong, and also they don't turn the ball over that much, being the Pacers. So it's going to be tough on Miami. I'm sitting here a Miami fan in terms of the way they play, but there's no way they can handle Indiana. It's going to be, if I give them maybe 1 game.
They might get 1 game. You know, people always say, do you have any regrets about your career?
I said, well, remember when I threw the guy out the window? I regret it. We were on the first floor.
Yeah.
Okay. I regret that, but I wish I had been a better defender. Because you look at all the teams that win championship, they are great defensively. The Spurs are the best defensive team in the league. You can flip a coin between Detroit and Indiana. That's why the defense wins. Scoring, that's great for rating, but defense wins championship. That's why these teams, people talk about days off. When your defense is consistent, your defense never take days off. You're going to have days where you don't shoot the ball well, but your defense is consistent. That's why Indiana's going to sweep them or Miami win one game.
And he throws his pen for effect. It's 46-36, Indiana.
You like
and
what?
The only guy.
Thank you.
Only guy in double digits is the Defensive Player of the Year, Ron Artest, who has 15 points. As we go to break, we have some special guests in the studio, do we not, tonight?
Yes, we do. Very special.
Major General Chris Cortez has his Marines from Quantico, Virginia, in the house tonight. Thank you very much for being here, guys, and thanks for all you do. And
they never get credit, but we want to make sure we give them their credit.
Exactly. We're doing that tonight. Thanks a lot, guys, for being here, and enjoy the show with Magic and Charlie.
The Halftime Report is brought to you by Verizon Wireless, the official wireless provider of the NBA.
Can you hear me now? Good.
How do you improve the defense against Tony Parker?
We may not be able to do that. We may just have to take what we can get against Tony, and not get all flustered about whether we have to stop him or that we have to jump all over him on screen rolls or anything else. He's going to have some games. He's going to control the ball and shoot the ball a lot. He's going to have numbers, and we just have to accept that, and we play around it. We don't want to be physical with this team. We don't want to appear to bully this team because I think that's playing into their hands.
Let's see, where do I want to go first? How about to Laker VP Magic Johnson? It's a 2-0 series, and Tony Parker has just dominated so far, and now it goes back to L.A. Can the Lakers, and how do the Lakers, turn this around?
Well, first of all, let's give Tony Parker a lot of credit because we've seen him now evolve. He's gotten better and better and better, and now it's his team and his show. And what I mean by that is the point guard always sets the tone and the tempo for whatever team he's playing for. And Tony Parker has arrived everybody out there. He is playing at an unbelievable level. And
how are the Lakers playing right now?
Right now, they're not playing that well. It's funny because they played bad in the first half. They all in both these games they played great third quarters, then winning time they have been terrible. Terrible decisions, not making the pass, not making the shot. And that's what really bothers me. When it got down to the first two games in the fourth quarter, we haven't scored points. The Lakers have not scored baskets.
As a matter of fact, the Lakers have outscored the Spurs 55-33 in the third quarter, have been outscored 48-30 in the two games in the fourth quarter. You can see those long stretches there with no field goals, et cetera, when San Antonio has put those games away.
Well, you got to ask yourself two questions. What are the Lakers? Do they want to go to Shaquille or do they want to go to Kobe? I think that's their first problem. So they don't know how they want to play. We got to get Shaquille involved. But do you go to him or do you get Kobe involved? They're the two best players. And I think that's been a conflict, obviously, all season, starting the preseason. And there's been a conflict all season. And when they go on vacation next week, they're going to have to solve them problems.
I think, Kenny, before you jump in, is they got to play basketball. Forget this talk, Gary. You guys quit talking. You just got to play. The Lakers are not playing basketball. You can say Tony Parker, you can say Tim Duncan. You already knew that was going to happen before the series started. You got to play basketball. And to me, Kenny, I'm going to throw it right to you.
Doesn't look like a very happy family,
No,
by the way,
they're not playing basketball and they're not together. And that's what happens when you're struggling. You start pointing fingers, frustration seeps in, and now you're looking for reasons and what to blame, and the triangle offense now is to blame, and this is to blame, and you start pointing your fingers because of frustration.
Well, Magic, you're basically asking guys now, to me, to change who they are. And what I mean by that is San Antonio Spurs are the only team I thought that could beat the Lakers in the West, because the things that the Spurs are great at, the Lakers are poor in. The San Antonio Spurs are great in a pick and roll. the San Antonio Spurs have great guys who take the ball and dribble it to the basket to score. The Lakers are great on defending jump shooters. That's why Sacramento has so much trouble with them. But guys who can put it on the floor and make plays, and Popovich has added a lot more motion in his offense this year, they have trouble. So you're asking guys to fall in and do things that they're not good at, and that's the problem. The only team in the West that can beat them is playing them right now.
Well, we also got to throw Popovich
I was
into
just gonna
the
say that.
Phil Jackson, the Pat Riley category now. He is a super coach, and they have done an excellent job, Charles, of
They
putting
play
that team
defense.
together.
You know what? They're the best defensive team since the Bulls with Michael and Scotty and Horace Grant and those guys.
That music and that shot means we're out of time. We're taking a break.
Another capacity crowd inside the beautiful Conseco Fieldhouse. Indiana has equaled their biggest lead of 10 in the game with Doug Collins, Kevin Harlan. You began the game talking about Artest, Harrington, and O'Neal, and you're going to continue to talk about them because that, in your mind, is the difference in the game.
Keep the game simple.
Right.
Go to your strength, and that's what Rick Carlisle does. And those guys, they've done it for him all year long. That's how they won 61 games. That's how they swept Boston. But it all starts with Jermaine O'Neal on that low block. We saw him working hard against both Haslam and Brian Grant. And then we saw Al Harrington come off the bench and do his thing around the basket. And then Ron Artest posts up, the great pass, seals Caron Butler, just too strong in the low post. So this is your strength, you go to it. And this is what they did in the regular season against Miami. Over 53 points, over 27 rebounds tonight. 28 points, 12 rebounds. They've taken 22 of the 34 shots. And you know what? To start the third quarter, we're going to see more of it.
Ron Artest at the game high 15. Here's our Chrysler game summary. 50% shooting by the Indiana Pacers.
Well, the only reason Miami's in the game is they have 10 more shots at the basket because of 10 Indiana turnovers and because of 9 offensive rebounds. If you see points in the paint, Indiana, the shooting, fast break points, Miami, they got to try to find a way to get more into the open floor. They've struggled to do that. But Kevin, I talk about championship teams and the way they end quarters. 26-9 if you add up the two quarters. 14-5 in the first, 12-4 in the second. So in a 10-point game, they're plus 17 to end quarters. That's what championship teams do.
Jamal Tinsley will take it up out there with Artest, O'Neal, Jeff Foster, and Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller in this game has taken 3 shots from the field and missed all 3. Artest picked up by Caron Butler. Shot clock is down to 6, and Artest with 15, staying right there. Here comes Caron Butler with Eddie Jones, Brian Grant, Wade, and Lamar Odom, who is distressed as he comes the other way. Anguish on his face. Looks like he took something in the gutter in his leg.
Again, Dwayne Wade there did not trust the jump shot. It was wide open, and that's the shot that he's got to shoot. He got himself in trouble and turned it over.
It's Miller inside to the double-teamed O'Neal and kicks it out to Artest. And Artest with the offensive rebound. Another 3. Another miss. And held by Odom is Jeff Foster, and Lamar Odom picks up the foul. Charles, what do you have?
Talked with Bob McAdoo, Miami Heat assistant coach, coming out after the half, and he said for them to improve in the second half, they've got to rebound better so they can get into more of an open court game. They want better shots for Eddie Jones and Lamar Odom. Eddie Jones only had 1 shot in the first half, Odom 1 for 7. And on defense, they talked about the fact that they didn't double very well before the game, but they think they have to start doubling Ron Artest in the low post to try and get him to give up the basketball. He's breaking them down defensively.
Just what you talked about.
Yeah, it's great stuff, Charles. And I just looked at the stat sheet and I told Kevin, Eddie Jones only 1 shot. They got to find a way to get him involved in this game.
Jermaine O'Neal 7 points. Jamal Tinsley's got 6. And now he nails a 3 and he gives the Indiana Pacers, Doug Collins, their biggest lead tonight.
Pretty good efficiency. He's taken 4 shots and has 9 points, 3 threes.
Not bad at all. Indiana has gone 4 of 9 shooting threes, and Miami 1 of 5. Eddie Jones, second shot of the night. Rebound by Tinsley. He grabs onto his second rebound with his 9 points.
Danger zone here for Miami. You got to be very careful. Indiana looking to put them away here with a little knockout punch to start this period.
Indiana led by 8 at the end of 1. They led by 10 at halftime. And Indiana, the number 1 seed, not only in the Eastern Conference, but in the entire NBA playoffs. As long as they're alive, home court is theirs. That is Jermaine O'Neal. He's got 9 points. And a Miami timeout. You wondered where Miami was going to find the energy after that rigorous series against New Orleans. And now the second half may be showing some of those effects.
Well, if they were playing better, they'd have some more emotion and they'd ride the crest of that energy in that series. Right now they're struggling, and Indiana's sort of taking the line.
This is Kevin Harlan, our entire crew. Jeff Paris, Indiana and Indianapolis native, is with us tonight, doing a great job in the truck. And Jeff, we thank your great work. Indiana leads it here, 51-36. 2 minutes gone in the third quarter.
Well, where's Miami going to go to get a hoop here? They got to find somebody to get a score. Got Butler being guarded by Artest. See if Odom can get something going against Jeff Foster.
It's Brian Grant. Jump ball. Nice defense by Jermaine O'Neal.
You know, it's interesting at halftime to hear Charles Barkley talk about if he had anything to do in his career, he wished he'd have been a better defensive player. And I think that when you look at Jermaine O'Neal, this young guy has really made strong strides to play both ends of the floor. And I think that's one of the reasons why he was one of the top vote getters, MVP third. That's not bad to be behind Duncan and Kevin Garnett in terms of most valuable player in the NBA.
Your second team All-NBA. Here is Jermaine O'Neal again. Rebound by Dwayne Wade. The Indiana Pacers are shooting 47%. The Miami Heat 31% for the game. Driving inside Caron Butler and trying for the rebounding, finally grabbing onto it. Jermaine O'Neal is knocked out of bounds.
See, Jermaine O'Neal is not guarding Lamar Odom, and what he is doing is help defensively. So what he's Jeff Foster's getting up, making these guys drive to the basket, and then O'Neal's back there. He doesn't have to use any energy guarding a defensive player. He should be very fresh, being a team defender and playing offense.
Reggie Miller's got a point. Doubled as he goes in the lane. Tinsley for three. What a great night Jamal Tinsley has had. Doug, you thought he was a key tonight. 12 points in 15 minutes, 4 of 5 from the field.
Yeah, I tell you, that kind of efficiency, you get 12 points, 5 on 5 shots. Playing very well tonight, under control, running his team.
8-0 start to begin the half for the Indiana Pacers. Here's Lamar Odom across the lane.
See O'Neal right at the basket to help.
And kicking it out to Wade, pickpocketed by Tinsley, and here comes Ron Artest. Transition defense for the Heat. And Foster to Artest and back to Tinsley. He wants to reset the offense.
Yeah, this is what you got to do. You know, Magic Johnson talked about it at halftime. Find Reggie Miller underneath the basket. Looked like Reggie took a hard foul. I mean, a tough ball there. We'll have to watch him as he comes up a little gimpy. But there was nothing going. Tinsley took the basketball, found Reggie Miller for the layup underneath. That's his first field goal. Look at him direct the team. And you heard Magic talk about it, that the team becomes a reflection of your point guard. You run the show, and there's Tinsley having a very nice night tonight.
So Reggie Miller will be at the free throw line. Eddie Jones picks up his third foul. You've got a great story when you were an assistant coach at Arizona State recruiting Reggie Miller.
Reggie, I saw him in high school. I just fell in love with him. I thought this young guy's going to be some player. I spent almost a whole year with him. I tried to watch every one of his high school games, and he went to UCLA, and when he signed to go to UCLA, I turned my keys in as an assistant coach. I said, you know what, I spent so much time with him. He really broke my heart when I was out there recruiting him. I just loved him so much as a player. He drove me into broadcasting. Thank you, Reggie.
And Odom on the fly, and a foul called inside on Indiana. And it goes on Foster. But to finish up that story, when you walked in the building tonight, there was only one player shooting shots, and it was Reggie Miller. And when he saw you, he stops. He said, hi, Coach, and he gave you a big hug. And it goes back many years. I mean, Reggie Miller has been in the National Basketball Association 17 seasons.
Well, you think about it now, this was in high school, so that 4 more years, that was 21 years ago.
Exactly.
And I used to love to watch him play. I still do. And I love his professionalism. I love, he's got 1 field goal in this game. He's only taken 4 shots. He's just doing his job. The interesting thing is he's guarding Eddie Jones. Eddie Jones has 1 field goal. So he's taking him out of the game and not forcing anything on the offensive end. But sometime in the playoffs, in a big game, he's going to come up with big shots. We've seen it through his career.
Wonderful play. That free throw breaks an 11-0 run by the Indiana Pacers. Here's O'Neal inside. Foster held by Jones, and he got it to go! Oh, what a play! And now Jones has 4 fouls for Miami.
If Indiana's rusty, I'm scared because they're up 59-37. And you know, Kevin, it's going to be very interesting. Miami coming up that emotional series with New Orleans. How were they going to come in here? Were they going to ride that emotion? Well, you know what? You look around, and they already have tremendous doubts. They've run into a buzzsaw here, this Indiana team, who still doesn't feel like they have been respected this year on the kind of season they had. If you think about it, everybody talks about the East, the East, the East. Jermaine O'Neal said yesterday, we were 20-8 against the West. Nobody talks about, they want to talk about how weak the East is. We were 20-8 against the West. We beat all the good teams, swept a few of them.
And they have the second best home record in the NBA, did Indiana. And the number 1 road record in the NBA, a long-range three by Rafer Alston.
Yeah, I like this lineup for Miami. Kenny Smith made a great point at halftime. You put Alston out on the floor, running the floor, let Wade go off the ball and play as a scorer. I think it's going to free Wade up a little bit.
That's thrown away. That basket by Alston breaks a 5.5-minute drought dating to the late stages of the second quarter. Here comes Miami again. I thought it was great when we saw Miami earlier in the playoff. You said they are the Dallas Mavericks of the Eastern Conference.
Well, they are in terms of size. They're a much, much better defensive team, but they like to get up and down the floor. They like to play small ball. They like to spread you out, penetrate. They don't shoot like the Mavericks, but size-wise and style, that's the way they like to play. But they're a much, much better defensive team.
Pacers have led by 23. Miami had an early lead of 5. Leading scorer with 15 points, Ron Artest. This is Jermaine O'Neal on a rebound by Odom. Odom, who's had stitches tonight in his chin, dances inside and finds Caron Butler.
Well, that's what they'd like to do. Get in the open floor. Unfortunately, Indiana will not cooperate. To get in the open court, you got to stop them. You got to be able to run. And Indiana has gotten back nicely all night long.
Here's Jamal Tinsley and off to Ron Artest.
There's a double team.
Jermaine O'Neal was open. A rebound by Miami, and now the Heat -1 in the rebounding of the game tonight.
Look at Ron Artest up on Caron Butler. Just 4 deliveries pushed out from behind the 3-point line.
Relentless. And a foul on Foster. 4 on Foster. Does Indiana, in your opinion, College, have the deepest bench of all the teams in the playoffs?
Yes, and I think that Rick Carlisle trusts them. And I think that's vital. He can put them in the game. Remember game 2 in here, we see Scott Pollard, who really doesn't even play much. He came over in the trade when Indiana recognized they could not keep Brad Miller and pay him that kind of money. They made the deal, Foster going out, and now all of a sudden you get a break if you're Lamar Odom. Now you bring in Al Harrington. And good luck, buddy.
And Tinsley just about takes it away from Wade, and Brian Grant kicks it outside to Caron Butler. Harrington tapped it, loose inside, a foul called on Lamar Odom as he goes crashing into Jermaine O'Neal.
But to get back against Indiana's bench, in game 2 of the Boston series, when Artest was suspended after walking out on the floor in game 1, they were in trouble against Boston. They were down 7 with about a minute to go in the third quarter. Rick Carlisle had his bench out there. They went on a run and ended up winning the game. So they won game 2 of that playoff series against Boston. His bench did.
The bench tonight, 6 of 9 on the field, and Harrington with the rebound by Brian Grant and off to Rafer Alston. Alston again inside and finds it. He gets knocked down a long-range 3 that he took and hit from Muncy. And now he drives inside and finds 2 and brings Miami to within 16. Alston has 10. He had 11 in game 7 against the New Orleans Hornets. Miami running on fumes, but nonetheless running.
Miller for 3, and he got it. Reggie Miller with a clutch trade, and it's 105-102. And a steal. Miller retreats to the 3-point line. Hit it again. The P gets it into Miller for the win. Throws it across. Miller for 3. Oh, he backed it in. He backed it in.
And that was a big shot by Reggie Miller for a couple different reasons. That last one we saw against the New Jersey Nets.
Well, that actually helped bring in the instant replay at the end of the games when there's double or triple zeros on the clock to take a look at it, because in retrospect that shot was late. So they brought in the instant replay to help, especially in playoff games. But look at Reggie Miller, what his playoff career, his numbers. He averages more points in the playoffs and the regular season. His three-point shooting, and he's third most. He's played the third most games for his franchise than any other players other than Stockton and Karl Malone.
And 7th all-time in the NBA as Artest dives inside and finds 2 and gets a foul. And Caron Butler was tagged with it. 17, a game high for Ron Artest.
Well, this is the report that Charles Davis was talking about at halftime. I think they want to double team Ron Artest down there. You see Rafer Alston too late getting there, but Caron Butler's got to send him to the double team. He allowed him to go baseline. Your double team was coming from the top side, so you got to send him to help. He let Artest go away from that, and he gets the three-point play.
Indiana has led most of the game. And almost stolen it was. Harrington knocked it away and then vacuums it in. Nope, out of bounds. It's Miami's ball, 10 seconds on the shot clock.
You know, Kevin, you probably say, why did Rick Carlisle take that last timeout? He was up, 20 points or whatever. He saw his team start to lose a little intensity with that lead, and he called timeout, and he said, let's get our focus back.
Wade over Miller.
He's playing as a 2-guard now, so Reggie has to play Wade instead of Eddie Jones. That's a more favorable matchup for Wade.
And also playing the point up front, they've got Grant playing with the bad bat, Butler and Odom. Reggie Miller puts in a 3. No one has made more and attempted more three-point shots, as the graphic just showed, than the Hall of Famer to be, Reggie Miller.
How about our timing impeccable? You show a little Reggie Miller, then he busts a 3 for it.
He's terrific. Wade flies inside. Defense by O'Neal, but nonetheless it goes in.
That's a tough cover right there for Reggie. Wade is so quick and fast. Now you're going to see, can Reggie shake himself loose against Wade? Let's see if they go back to him and try to free him up for that jump shot again.
O'Neal, Harrington, Artest up front. They've got Reggie Miller and Tinsley. With Artest getting it back to Tinsley, and the shot clock at 7. Now doubled is Artest.
Good call. How can he pass out of that double team?
And a rebound by Brian Grant, who lassos his 6th rebound of the game. Held inside by Tinsley. As Caron Butler goes crashing to the floor.
Nobody in the league comes off screens better than Reggie Miller from distance. He can shoot the 3. To me, the second best player coming off screens in the league now is Richard Hamilton. Rip Hamilton from Detroit. He's more of a mid-range game. Reggie shoots it deep, but to me, the best mid-range shooter in the league coming off screens now is Richard Hamilton. What a wonderful job he's done for the Detroit Pistons.
Butler at the free throw line, and free throws shooting tonight. Miami 8 of 11. Indiana 12 of 15. Here's Caron Butler. Friday night on ESPN, the Pistons will take on the New Jersey Nets. Saturday, it's Miami at Indiana and Sacramento at Minnesota on ESPN. Sunday, ABC, Game 3, Lakers in San Antonio. That was a great discussion at halftime in our studio in Atlanta with Magic, the Jet, Charles, and EJ about that series.
To me, that was the best halftime of the year. Those guys were so good, and the points they brought out about San Antonio and that Lakers series, they were tremendous. I learned a lot tonight, and that was fun listening to those 3 guys talk, and Ernie moderating. That was great.
Eddie Jones had it, and Wade knocked it away. Turnovers, 11 for Indiana, 10 for Miami. Only one player in the game with 4 fouls. That's Jeff Foster, the starter of the Indiana Pacers. Oh, and Eddie Jones has 4 as well. Here's a jump shot by Jermaine O'Neal. And Alston racing the other way. 4 on 3. Good fake by Caron Butler.
But again, Jermaine O'Neal gets back, and he and Harrington both get back and protect that basket.
Kick. Stamina, the endurance of Miami has got to be really admired tonight. This is not an easy situation for Stan Van Gundy to bring his team into here. Arguably the most difficult place in the NBA to play, here in Sacramento for sure. And, they're Right off an emotional series, a rugged series, and against the best team regular season record-wise in the NBA.
Well, this is a team, Indiana, that subtly knocks you around, too. Look at these big, strong bodies. Our test a little bit cold here in this period.
Wade, great transition defense by Indiana. Alston outside. No one is on Lamar Odom for three. A rebound by Ron Artest.
Ron Butler's seeing stars right now. Artest he said, throw me the ball. He said, nobody's guarding me.
They go inside, and Harrington was fouled.
Look at Artest go over and sort of pat him on top of the head. And I didn't mean to do it. That's another growth period of Ron Artest. The flagrant fouls, the technicals last year, the distractions. He missed games with suspensions. And you know what? Part of the recognition for him of being Defensive Player of the Year this year, as you see as he goes in and gets a knee right there to the nose and face. Oh my goodness, that is a tough blow. But you know what? I think a big part of the rewards that Ron Artest got this year was also coaches and meeting these people recognizing for the way he matured out on the floor. Last year he was as good a defender, but he was not going to get that kind of recognition, Kevin. People admired what he did this season. He played for the best team in the East, best record in the league, and really carried himself as a true professional this season.
And you can see the voting for Defensive Player of the Year. Part of the credit to what has happened to him goes to Rick Carlisle. Austin Crozier said, he doesn't play any favorites, speaking of Carlisle. He manages well. That's the great part of our success. He calls a good game, kind of like a catcher in baseball or a good manager in baseball. He calls a good game, and he doesn't play the favorites. He manages these personalities in this very deep roster very well.
Well, he learns from one of the best of all time, Chuck Daly. Chuck Daly took him under his wing as a young assistant, and nobody managed egos and did a better job in the NBA ever than Chuck Daly.
It's Rasul Butler. And chased down by Odom, a good offensive rebound with 2.5 to play in the third. Travel. Again, he's been called a couple times for that tonight.
Now, and that's interesting. Lamar Odom, when the game starts, he's guarded by Jeff Foster. And Jermaine O'Neal is off the ball. And what they do is they force him to put it down on the floor. They run him to help. Now when they go to the bench, he's being guarded by Harrington, who gets into him and knocks him around physically. So he's getting it from both directions, starting and finishing.
Indiana is shooting 47% from the field. Jonathan Bender, he throws it away. The turnovers now. Indiana with 11 and Miami with 11. That was off Miami, they now say. That was off Miami. And so Indiana will have it 7 seconds on the shot clock.
You see Rick Carlisle calling the plays. But you look at Jonathan Bender out there. He's taller than Jermaine O'Neal. And he's a small forward. He's taller than O'Neal.
Freddie Jones. Rebound by Rasul Butler. Miami +3 in rebounding tonight.
Ooh.
Wow.
You see a little, just a taste
that was something
of the crossover, a little reminiscent of Tony Parker last night at crunch time against the Lakers with a crossover, but Dwayne Wade has got that crossover. Watch this, and he changes direction. Quick change of pace, but look who's back there to protect the basket. Jermaine O'Neal does not give up the layup, takes the foul, and Wade misses one of the free throws. That's why, Kevin, you hear us talk all the time, no layups in the playoffs.
Freddie Jones picked up the foul. Wade hits the back end of 2. Heat, 11 assists, 11 turnovers. Pacers, 14 assists and 11 turnovers. Jonathan Bender.
You know, they did this late in the half.
He traveled.
See what Rick Carlisle did is when Dwayne Wade went over to play the 2 spot, he's resting Reggie Miller, and he's got a more physical defender out there in Fred Jones. So because of that matchup, he took Reggie out of the game. He'll put him back in against Eddie Jones.
Anthony Johnson is it. Alston with the runner inside. And Rafer Alston continues to be that energy player off the bench. He's got 12.
You see Rick Carlisle there. Every possession, he's going to orchestrate. He gives his team the signal, and it's up to the point guard to run the play for him. He knows where he wants to go, and it's important for the point guard to run the team. Again, John Stockton and Jerry Sloan did that for 16 or 17 years.
Brian Grant picks up his 4th foul. But I'm sure he has changed up his signals, for instance, going into this series than he had in the Boston series.
No, because players can't do that. They can't. If play number 4 is play number 4, you can't make it 14 or 12, whatever. You can't do that. What you have to do is you run the plays and you execute. When you start changing the numbers, and players don't react to that. You just don't do it.
Even though you've got scouts in this building watching what we're watching right now and saying that they can call out that play when their team plays the Pacers.
Doesn't matter. I mean, you're scouted or whatever, but you don't change the play calls. I can tell you the calls that he making right now is the same calls he made in Detroit last year. It would confuse the players if you start changing the numbering system. They just don't. You don't respond to that. The game is too fast, and you start thinking, what's the play now? What are we supposed to run?
Well, Carlisle certainly paid his dues. You know, he was an 11-year assistant in the NBA, was with Larry Bird when he was a coach here and took the team to the finals. Coach of the year in Detroit, won 2 Central Division titles, was let go, shockingly, and comes here, taking the place of Isaiah Thomas. And he gives credit to Isaiah Thomas for what Isaiah did here as a head coach.
And that's good because Isaiah did some wonderful things here. Sometimes you make decisions to move in a different direction. You see Dwayne Wade with a jumper, and it didn't end here the way Isaiah wanted it to, but you know what? He landed on his feet. He's the president of the New York Knicks now, so good things happen to people who do things the right way.
Indiana hasn't scored from the field in almost 4 minutes. And approaching a minute to play in the third. That's Jermaine O'Neal. Rebound by Odom. And here comes Miami with the effervescent Alston. Dwayne Wade always attacking the basket. Stripped to the ball by Anthony Johnson. Taken in by newly instated Malik Allen. Lamar Odom down the lane and flies for 2.
He's so good around the basket. He's just going to keep getting better. If he can stay healthy, then that's going to be the key for him. He's still such a young player, but he's got to stay healthy.
No fouls to give either way. Pacers have led by 23 in the second half, but their lead now is down to 69-57.
Miami's going to fight you now to the finish. They're not going to quit.
That's how they played New Orleans. That's how they played the second half of the season. Freddie Jones, an acrobatic shot. Malik Allen controlling the glass.
You score here and you cut it to 10.
Alston will rotate and they'll set for the final shot of the third quarter.
It looked like they were out of, I think, game 6 down in New Orleans, down 19. They fought back to make it a 2-possession game late. They're going to keep fighting.
One of the great young teams in the NBA. Wade inside, lost it and out of bounds with 4/10 of a second left in the third.
Now, it's important that it's 4/10 and not 3/10.
Right.
3/10 would only be a lob. 4/10 you can get a catch and shoot.
So what kind of play would you call here?
Well, you got to run somebody off the screen. Keep your eye on Malik Allen. He might step back and out of this little scrum here and shoot a jump shot.
That's how the third quarter ends. So Miami fights back. Tinsley with 12 points in the game. He had 6 at halftime. The Pacers led by 20.
Well, Indiana leads by 12 as we start the fourth quarter, but of concern to Indiana. We'll take a look here at the 8:23 mark of the third period. Reggie Miller on a little backdoor cut takes a very hard foul and a bump, and he went down very, very hard. And you can see at the timeout, his leg is iced, he's stretching. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but hopefully it's nothing serious for Reggie. A little ice for some precaution that we'll see him later in the game.
Doug, going into this game tonight, you thought tonight for the Miami Heat was their best chance to win. Why?
Well, because of the schedule. Indiana had an 11-day layoff. They're coming off a tough series. They're tough. They're what I call playoff tough. And more importantly, they play tonight. They play Saturday, they travel, play Monday, and they play Wednesday. So since that series stretched out so much with New Orleans for 17 days, they have to now catch up. So to do that, they've got to play 4 games in 7 days. And that's going to take its toll on a Miami team that doesn't have depth. They only play 7 guys.
We start the fourth quarter. Again, Miami finished that third on a 29 run. 20-9 is what they take into this fourth. They trail by 12. That was tipped out of bounds. Alston thought, but they call it an air ball, so it sails away, and Indiana gets it with Johnson and Jones, Harrington, Bender, and Jermaine O'Neal. The 5 they start. This is Bender for 3. Rebound inside by Malik Allen. On that front line with Odom. We got Eddie Jones taking to the Sewell Butler in the game with Wade and Alston in the backcourt.
It's tough for Lamar Odom to post up Harrington. He's just too big and strong.
Malik Allen can't get it to go. Inside, trying to tip it was Wade. Miami coming off that rigorous 7-game series against New Orleans. Indiana took care of Boston. They haven't played in 11 days until tonight. And a defensive 3-second violation. Let's go to Charles Davis.
Kevin, you guys noticed the ice on Reggie Miller's leg. The Pacers bench says it's strictly precautionary and that he's fine to come back in when he's ready.
That's good news for Indiana, Charles. You know, a lot of times a guy takes a tough fall like that and you just put the ice on to try to prevent anything from swelling. So hopefully we'll see Reggie later.
Anthony Johnson puts it down. He is an undrafted player at the College of Charleston in the playoffs now, Doug. He has gone 7 of 8 from the free throw line.
As we look at Miami's team in the first round against New Orleans, they did a great job in the fourth quarter. They had the second best field goal percentage defense in the playoffs in the fourth quarter, 31%. They held the Hornets to. Only team better in that first round was the New Jersey Nets.
And Bender getting by the defensive Wade and Thompson for 3. Rebound by Harrington, took it away from Austin and dives inside the lane with the foul. Indiana had missed 8 consecutive shots. Malik Allen, Doug, from Miami, picks up his first personal foul.
Well, the question from Miami is not so much their defense right now. You see they've done a nice job, but the big thing, are they going to find a way to be able to score? This is a tough defensive team that Indiana has on the field right now.
Playoffs continue Sunday night on TNT as the Nets host the Pistons in Game 3. Coverage at 7:30. Then Monday night, Game 3 starting at 8 o'clock. Miami taking on Indiana. Sacramento against Minnesota as we take a look at Al Harrington. Here's a guy who could start on virtually any team in the NBA, but has embraced the sixth-man role here at the Indiana Pacers.
Well, I'm sure he would love to start. A lot of great six-man throughout their careers. I think of Kevin McHale in Boston. He was good enough to start. Cedric Maxwell did. I think of John Havlicek. I think of Bobby Jones in Philly. A lot of great six-men who carved their way into very, very good teams, championship teams.
What about Antoine Jameson this year from Golden State to Dallas? Alston, screened by Malik Allen. Shot clock at 5. Alston to Odom. And for Lamar Odom, who is 3-11, his 8th point with 7 rebounds. Well, Indiana hasn't scored from the field in 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Well, they're good enough defensively to stay a little bit like what the San Antonio Spurs did. They just good enough defense to win that basketball game as they go through droughts offensively.
If they hit here, they can make it a single-digit deficit game. Alston, Wade, always attacking. Dwayne Wade. We're down to a 9-point game with 9:43 to play and a timeout taken by Indiana.
For these young guys who want to come out early to the NBA, I think of Dwayne Wade. He decided to stay at Marquette, had a great junior year, went to the Final Four, led his team, comes in, he's mature, he's ready to play. I wish some of these young guys would watch what he's doing and keep themselves in schools.
Presented by Lamisil.
Well, we talked about Lamar Odom, and look how hard he's working here against Al Harrington. Going to try to cut for the basketball. He's going to get knocked down. Going to show some good footwork here to get up, pull himself off the mat. Doesn't quit on the play, and who ends up with the dunk? So you start out with Jeff Foster playing you. You drive to the basket, O'Neal's waiting for you, and they bring in Harrington just to knock you around. This Miami Heat, I give them a lot of credit. They kept working. It hasn't been easy. They had every chance to be blown out, and they fought themselves back into this game down only 9 points.
What great character against the best team record-wise in the NBA this season, the Indiana Pacers. Indiana led by 8 at the end of 1, by 10 at halftime. Pacers led by 12 at the end of 3. But Indiana's big lead was 23 points. Miami has gone on a 24-10 run. Harrington short, caught by Wade. Indiana's last field goal came at the 5-minute mark of the third quarter. Wade into Jones, out to Butler, and he traveled.
He had the jump shot, he just didn't trust it. Now, Kevin, you look at Artest, Harrington, and O'Neal. We talked about the importance of this team. Tonight, Miami's done a nice job against them. They're 13 of 36. So Miami is doing a good job defending them. They're just struggling to score points. It's a half-court game. They only have 61 points.
Indiana has missed their last 10 shots. They're shooting 41% from the field. Artest is doubled and crawls around the defensive butler. It goes in. Wow.
You see how he brought his arm up into the defender? He's trying to draw the foul. That's why he shot 29 free throws. Stan Van Gundy told his guys, you can't reach in. You got to stay up big. He's going to try to grab the ball through your arms.
That's the first basket from the field for Indiana in almost 8 minutes. Here comes Miami. 36% from the floor. Wade with a runner inside. Beautiful play by the rookie Wade, who's got 18.
See, again, he's playing that two-guard position right now, so Rafer Alston doing the majority of the ball handling. Dwayne Wade looking to be more of a scorer.
Ron Artest.
There's a double up, going to force somebody to make a shot.
Maybe Anthony Johnson goes against Wade and around Odom and kicks it out to Artest, who feeds Johnson. Artest and Jones for three.
You gotta love that ball movement right there. Ball went from side to side, double team, move it, dribble penetration, kick it to Freddie Jones at the top for the jump shot.
That's the three-point shooting right there. He'd have made two. Pacers almost 50%, 7 of 15. 46.7 to be exact. Three-point shooting for Indiana tonight.
Make the extra pass. Pass, swing, get the defense on a string. Knock that jump shot down. That's the way to discourage all those double teams, is make the extra pass. You got the team scrambling. The big thing is you have to knock in the shots, and Freddie Jones did that on that one.
Harrington picks up number 4. Pacers have won by 23. Great series of moves, and Lamar Odom with a quick shot inside, and he brings the Heat to within 10. Odom has gone 4 of 12 and 10 points.
Just keep attacking. Good things happen if you stay aggressive.
Wade's 18 leading Miami. Artest 20 points leading everybody. Jones down the lane and a foul as he was slashing inside.
Kevin, in our open, we talked about Lamar Odom's versatility, his ability to go out on the floor, play against guys. See the smooth move. We just showed the Lamisil commercial, the good footwork where you saw it there in the post. A spinning jump shot fading, and he can post, he can drive you out on the floor. We had a steady dose of P.J. Brown for 7 games in the first round. Now he's looking at Jeff Foster and Al Harrington. So he gets one of the better defenders every night.
Odom picks up his third. What did Pat Riley see in Odom with maybe a checkered pass that derailed a lot of other teams from chasing him as a free agent?
Well, he loved him out of college. He couldn't try to trade up to get him, and couldn't. And so he just, that affection remains. And he just said, he felt like if he put him in the right spot, that he could flourish, and he's done that. Again, he's been healthy. He's in a very disciplined environment, and he's thriving.
Alston, Wade thinking about 3. And knocked it down. Bob McAdoo has worked so many hours on that jump shot of Dwayne Wade, who was an attacker at college at Marquette, and now he's added that jump shot to his game, much more balanced. 13 and a half and 20 for the game for Dwayne Wade. Anthony Johnson for 3. Rebound Caron Butler, plus 10. Miami rebounding tonight with a Indiana foul right there on Ron Artest.
Well, one of the things that's keeping Miami in the game, they're not shooting a good percentage, only 39%, but they have 9 more field goal attempts. Indiana's gotten to the free throw line 24 times, only 15 for Miami. But in the regular season, Indiana pounded Miami on the boards. They out-rebounded by 10 per game. You see points in the paint tonight are even, but the straight points, 14-0 for Miami. So they've stayed in the game. Anytime they can get in the open court, they've been able to score.
That's the second foul on Fred Jones. You take a look at the laboring Brian Grant and Eddie Jones playing with a little foul trouble. Both those guys have 4 apiece.
Now let's watch this matchup with Dwayne Wade and Reggie Miller. This is a tough matchup. Reggie's going to have a tough time guarding him off the dribble.
Dwayne Wade. The rebound inside, collected by Jermaine O'Neal, who now has 7 rebounds and 11 points. 4 of 13 is Jermaine O'Neal from the field tonight.
Good Arby's back on the floor here, Kevin, to try to finish this off for Indiana.
Reggie Miller is 2 of 5. Ron Artest is 7 of 17. O'Neal wide open. Tinsley for 3. He's been great tonight. Jamal Tinsley, 15 points, 5 5 of 6 from the field.
Well, that's why you hate to double team as a coach, because when you double team, 2's playing 1, that means 3 are trying to play 4, and you make the extra pass. And if Jamal Tinsley's going to make that shot, again tonight he has taken 6 shots, he has 15 points, 5 threes, 4 assists, and has had a tremendous game. And this is good for his confidence, because he's going to have to play, and he's going to have to play well. If they're going to advance and beat a Detroit or New Jersey, they're going to need him. And he's knocked down the shots tonight.
A look at Jamal Tinsley, who did not play high school basketball, but he was a playground legend in New York City. And carving his...
Well, it has been Jamal Tinsley with his three-point shooting. Again, he's taken 6 shots on the night. He's knocked down 5 threes. Great efficiency. Moving the ball, trusting in it. You're going to double team the post. That means somebody's going to be open on the weak side. Pacers doing a nice job moving the basketball, and any double team, you make the extra pass. And that's what the Pacers have done. And you look at the three-point shooting tonight, they're 8 of 17. 2 of 9 for Miami, so they're plus 18 points at the three-point line. They're plus 7 at the free throw line. So in those 2 statistics, they are plus 25. That's the difference in the game.
We're seeing great point guard battles in the playoffs, including tonight. Alston was fouled by Tinsley as he went reeling down the lane. We saw a great point guard battle in Minneapolis on Tuesday. Cassell against Bibby. We saw Tony Parker last night on TNT. Go up against all kinds of Laker defense, but I mean, the point guard is really grabbing a hold of a lot of these series and squeezing tight.
That's the quarterback of your team. That's the guy who runs the show.
It's Malik Allen with the hesitation on Jermaine O'Neal and crashing into Foster, and Odom has now hit 3 straight. Lamar Odom, 5 of 13, 12 points and 7 rebounds.
Well, Miami's got about 3 minutes here to try to make a run to get back in this game. Defensively, can they get the stops?
Odom's got 6 in the quarter and 12 for the game, and here comes Artest. He's got 20-time wait for game-high honors. Working on Caron Butler. Great pass inside to Jeff Foster. And a rebound by Caron Butler, who tonight has got 9 rebounds with his 12 points. And here comes Wade. And Odom, who's going for 3. Rebound Malik Allen. Counted for 2 and a foul.
How about turning the tables on the boards? Again, Kevin, we talked about in the regular season, Indiana out-rebounded them 10 rebounds a game. Tonight, that is not the case. Rebounding, keeping them in the game. Miami now is plus 11 on the boards. You're getting some second shot opportunities. The kind roll for Malik Allen. You know, sometimes when you work hard, that ball bounces your way. You got an 8-point game.
Speaking of working hard, how about Malik Allen? 3 years out of Villanova, undrafted, played in the ABA, the IBA. He's been with Miami the last 3 seasons. He has worked hard to get his niche in this league, and a whistle away from the ball.
Well, again, we talk about remember Pat Riley's been the president, and he was the coach, not just the president, but he's the guy who, you know, finds the Malik Allen. He's able to go out and find the Udonis Haslem, draft the Caron Butler, draft the Dwayne Wade, sign Lamar Odom, get a Ray for Alston. So his personnel decisions have been very good, and he's done a great job of allowing Stan Van Gundy to coach this team and let them grow, and they've been a real surprise this year.
Indiana out there with Tinsley and Miller, O'Neal, Foster, and Artest. That's their 5 with under 5 to play in the game. On Artest, working on Caron Butler, doubled by Wade. And a foul inside, Butler picks it up. And he's got 4 on him tonight. So he's got 4. Grant and Jones have 4. That's the foul problems for Miami. And 4 for Foster and 4 for Harrington. The guys to watch out for in Indiana's lineup. And here is Ron Artest.
Between shots, we're going to get a little replay here of Ron Artest, and I want to show what he does to draw fouls going to the basket. But just watch him. He's so strong. Watch him drag the ball through the defender's arms as he spins. See him take the ball up in your arms. You cannot reach on him. You've got to keep your hands up. The minute your arms go down, he's so strong, he's going to rip that ball through, and he's playing with a splint on his thumb. Now, remember, he had major thumb surgery. I didn't think he was going to be back till about this time of the year. I missed like 12 days in the season. But you've got to know who you're playing. You've got to keep your hands up on him. You can't reach in.
4.5 to play in the game. Wade. the baseline. And Dwayne Wade has tied our chest with game-high honors at 22 apiece as they battle, and 4:25 left.
That's a tough matchup for Reggie. I mean, Dwayne Wade is just so quick off the dribble. Reggie's used to playing guys off screens.
The Pacers only 3 of 9 from the field in the fourth quarter. Foster finds Artest, and Butler is right there to defend. Artest. As he takes it inside to foul on Ron Artest. Well, he clocked Caron Butler right in the face. Inadvertently, mind you, but he got him right there, number 2 on Artest.
So when you play Ron Artest, you're going to take some punishment. And I tell you, Caron Butler, you talk about young players matured. He had a little baby daughter March 29th named Mia, said it changed his whole life, gave him maturity and growth. And that particular night that she was born, he had 30 points and 13 rebounds against the Chicago Bulls. His life has changed for the best since.
In so many ways. Wade down the lane. Rebound by Foster. We've had 3 lead changes, 3 ties. Pacers have been up by 23. Miami has led by as many as 5 in this game.
Miami's defense is terrific. Can they score enough points?
Reggie Miller with Odom on him. Alston is on Tinsley, but we have bodies strewn all over the floor with a foul. And Wade is okay. Oh, make it Caron Butler, who's got 5. Butler away from the ball, picks up number 5.
One of the things that Indiana does, their big men lay bodies on you when they screen. And how many times, Kevin, have we seen tonight where you've seen a Miami guy knocked off on a pick or screening? When they watch the tape, one of the things they're going to have to do a better job is doing the same thing to Indiana. They got to screen hard, and they got to make these guys play the way they're playing. But just watch this now. Watch as Caron Butler comes off. Dwayne Wade, excuse me. Look at the body that Jeff Foster puts on him. How many times can you get yourself up and off your floor and just keep playing like that without fatigue becoming a major factor?
It's got to be so hard. Both teams now playing in the penalty the rest of the way. Free throw shooting. Indiana 22 of 28. Miami 12 of 16. That's a difference of 12 free throw attempts at the line between Indiana and Miami.
Remember now, during the regular season, they outscored them by 37 points in 3 games, so that is a trend.
Caron Butler has got 14 points and 9 rebounds. And the Miami Heat stand within an 8-point reach. They were down by 23 points earlier in the second half. Miller for 3. This is his time of the game.
Well, look at the score. It was an 8-point game. They run a play for Reggie Miller. He'd only taken on the whole game 6 shots. But when they needed a big shot, who do they run it for? The heart and soul of this team, Reggie Miller. They're built around their inside people. When in doubt, free this guy up and he will knock the shot down for you. That's 2 threes for Reggie. The lead goes to 11. Will that be the dagger for the Miami Heat?
You called him the soul. He definitely is that for the Indiana Pacers. We talk about clutch shooters. What about Jerry West in this half-court shot, which counted for only 2 points then? What about Larry Bird? Here's a 2-pointer. In that game.
Went 40-1 at home that year. Talk about a home court advantage. Lost only to Portland.
What a great call by the coach of the Bulls for that Michael Jordan shot.
It wasn't much a shot. I like to play better.
Oh, you did a good job on that one. And then, of course, Reggie Miller against the New Jersey Nets. And then this year, Kobe Bryant on the last day of the regular season.
Well, all right, now, was this a clutch shot? I mean, this changed the whole seedings. This got them San Antonio. Is that clutch?
Or maybe a death sentence. I mean, they're down 2 games to none right now and fighting for their playoff lives are the Los Angeles Lakers. Are people taking Indiana too lightly? Have we been concentrating too much on the West and not enough on Detroit and Indiana out of the East?
Well, the West, you know, because of the preseason hype with the top teams, plus they were much deeper. I mean, you're talking about 12 teams in the West. You're talking about 4 or 5 teams in the East. So that was a big difference in the depth. But Indiana and Detroit are for real. They could win a championship.
It's Lamar Odom who hit 3 in a row. Rebound by Jermaine O'Neal. He now has 7. Miami cut the lead to as close as 8 on 3 occasions in this fourth quarter.
Eddie Jones back in the game now to shadow Reggie Miller. Eddie has had a non-existent offensive game.
Jermaine O'Neal, Foster trying for the offensive rebound as his Indiana Pacers is going down the ball, shooting 43% in the game from the floor.
Remember, Charles Davis reported at halftime, he talked to Bob McAdoo, the assistant coach, said we got to get Eddie Jones involved in the game. He's only taken one shot. He was 1 of 1 at half. He's now 1 of 2, only one shot. He's had 4 fouls, but they cannot win this series or get enough points on the board without him. They don't have enough depth.
Reggie Miller, 3 of 6. Eddie Jones on him. O'Neal, 4 of 14. And here is Jermaine O'Neal. Malik Allen is guarding him. Bounced out by Foster. He punched the ball out, volleyballed it to Tinsley. They'll reload. And that is 10 rebounds for Foster tonight with 7 points. Into Jermaine O'Neal.
See, Foster had a wide open shot. He's not going to take that shot. He makes the extra pass. He knows what he can do. Just be a facilitator, move the basketball, play good defense, rebound, take hard fouls. That's why he's such an important part of this team.
Miami is shooting 40% from the floor. Wade is putting 22. And into Odom, who has caught fire in this quarter. Alston for 3. Good! It is only the 3rd three-point hit by the Heat tonight. Alston off the bench, 15 points in 33 minutes.
Yeah, but one of my pet peeves is going on right now in this game right now. They're playing music while the game is going on. And I don't think you should be able to do that, even if the offensive team has the ball, because the defensive team, you're trying to talk and communicate out there, and you cannot do that over music.
It's O'Neal. Allen's defense is late. Rebound by Jones. And Miami is +8 in rebounding tonight. And a foul. It's on Miami. Was it on Wade, who went curling around? It was, and he picks up number 4.
Yeah, but a big part of basketball is communication. When you pump that music in over the crowd, you can't talk to each other. Now, I know the rule of thumb is you can only do it when you have the ball, but the defense is trying to communicate with each other. You can't hear over that music.
Yes, the game should speak for itself. You don't have to entertain them now. The last couple minutes of the game.
I've never liked that.
Reggie Miller got a screen from Foster. Ball knocked out of his hands. 12 seconds on the shot clock. A minute to play in the game.
Was on my soapbox there, Coach. You need to talk
down. I'm with you, and I think everybody's with you. The music, it's gotten too much. Pacers have led by 23. Miami had an early lead of 5. Tinsley with the teardrop.
This guy has been terrific tonight. I'm sure that Stan Van Gundy's saying, wait a second, I'm preparing to play against O'Neal, Artest, Harrington. 7 shots, Tinsley, 17 points. He's been the X factor tonight for this Indiana Pacer team.
Well, anyway this ends up, we have got to admire what Miami has done tonight. As you see the last basket by Tinsley, who's been terrific. He's got 17 tonight, and that is a career playoff high for Jamal Tinsley. But Stan Van Gundy brought his team in here exhausted physically and emotionally. And you don't like to give them a crutch going into the game, but certainly against the best team record-wise in the league in the regular year, the odds were stacked against them, and they played a gritty, hard, grinding game against the Indiana Pacers.
Well, that's why you're Indiana. You work hard all year. That's why the home court means something. You have the best record, and then you dispose of a team in 4 straight, and you get the rest. They always say rest versus rust. Kevin, always take the rest. You might be rusty for a half. You do not want to be tired into a deep series.
Well said. Game 2 of this series will be Saturday here in Conseco, and Game 3 Monday, and Game 4 Wednesday in Miami, and then the rest of the schedule as you see it. It's going to be good for Miami to at least exhale a little bit. And you know the euphoria of beating New Orleans still lingering just a while, that guys like Brian Grant, who's been in the league a lot of years, has seen a lot come and go, has himself had to face, pushing that aside and welcoming in a new, more tough opponent.
Well, I mean, let's face it, in Miami, it's going to be tough for them in one day to get rest and be ready to go on Saturday. You know they're going to compete. But Indiana's going to keep getting better. I mean, you look at the numbers tonight. I mean, they're not shooting the ball, at that rate of clip. They're being out-rebounded. That's not going to happen. So as this series goes on, look for Indiana to take even more control.
Eddie Jones for 3. No fouls to give either way as Artest grabs the rebound. And Miller quickly fouled by Malik Allen.
Well, you can put this in the book. One of the all-time great free throw shooters in NBA history.
It's not missed in the playoffs, Doug. A perfect 9 of 9 coming into tonight. 2 of 2, so now 11 of 11 in 5 playoff games.
Well,
Reggie Miller.
It's important that you can have a guy at the end of the game when the clock is winding down, you can throw the ball to when the team has to foul, and know that if he's holding the ball, you got to foul him. And Reggie wants to be that. He loves to shoot free throws under pressure.
His sister played some basketball, didn't she?
I think they were voted as 2 of the best sibling combinations. In terms of brother-sister or brothers and brothers or sisters and sisters who played sports.
Austin to get out of a straight jacket and got it away, and a foul called, and Artest is right there. You know, you appreciate players like Ron Artest, who has worked so diligently on his game. But you told that story earlier about him guarding Jordan, who was going for his 30,000th career point, and how that just irritated him so. The more players you see like that, the more you can appreciate what they do on the floor. And if all the players took that kind of stance, that deep competitive drive, and what a game this is. It's a great game anyway, but what a game it would be then.
Well, if you look at Indiana, their 2 best defensive players are their 2 best players, period. O'Neal and Artest. So these guys play both ends of the floor. So if they're doing it, don't you think they can put demands on the rest of the team to do the same thing?
Artest has it. He spins off Wade, and a foul called on Dwayne Wade. He's got 5. He's a mature young man. Spoke of his Final Four appearance last year. Rick Marquette, he's a father, he's a husband, and he's a guy that has had such a nice feel for a rookie. You know, you talk about guys who spend time and come in this league with a mature attitude and a mature feel to their personal life and to their game. And then you see all these high school kids, Doug, declare, you shake your head sometimes. It's hard to sometimes understand the give and take of that particular situation.
Well, I mean, you understand. I mean, the amount of money that's being waved at these young players, so much of it by the sneaker companies. Yeah. I mean, you see the guaranteed money they're getting ready to come out before they ever play. So you understand how tough it would be to say no to that money. But I remember talking to Dwayne Wade. I was a friend of Tommy Green's, and I was coaching in Washington, and he was thinking about leaving. And you know, I said, you know, stay another year, grow, develop. And you know what? He listened to some people. He stayed, and look where his career is right now. So many great things ahead of him. You know, and I think when you speed up your life, you know, you miss so many things that youth has to bring. And I know it's tough to say no to the money. It's easy for me to sit here and talk about these young guys, $15, $20 million flashed at them. But I looked at the Tim Duncans and the Grant Hills and Jermaine O'Neal. Now, he came out of high school, but you know what? He didn't play for 3 years.
Yeah, he's a rare case of a guy who is, for every Jermaine O'Neal, there's 30 guys who don't do it.
Al Harrington didn't play for 3 years. Right. I mean, these guys fact.
It's a good win for the Indiana Pacers tonight over the Miami Heat, a team that would not die and show the kind of determination that got them by a favored New Orleans team in round 1. They led by 23 at one time in the second half. They end up winning by 13, led by the 25 points of Ron Artest. And a good 17-point performance with 5 3-point hits from Jamal Tinsley. Doug, you talked about those 2 guys specifically as needing to have big games, and you were right, both did.
The greater the pressure as time goes on, it's going to be important for Jamal Tinsley to play with that same kind of poise. He's not going to shoot this well every night. But if he'll run his team, Indiana, it's going to be tough to beat.
Let's go to the 5-time All-Star Reggie Miller, who is with our Charles Davis.
Thanks, Kevin. Reggie, they keep talking about how you've turned this team over to the younger guys, but you still showed up big tonight. The old legs still have a little bit of juice left, don't they?
Well, it is playoff time, and you know, I understand that I'm 38, but I'm not dead. I know I can contribute to this team, and obviously my role has changed, but you know, come springtime and come playoff time, you want to perform at your best. And even though I'm not putting up big numbers like I used to in the playoffs, anytime you can find ways to contribute on a team like this that has so much talent, that's all you can ask for.
Coach Doug Collins talked about the debate of rest versus rust, and you guys had 11 days of rest, and he says you should take that every time. Obviously, it's paid off for you tonight. You guys put it to good use. What about a look ahead for Game 2 with Miami?
Well, you know, I still think we're rusty. I think Coach Collins is correct in his assessment, but
Miami was tired. You could see it. Late in the game, they were dragging legs. They really didn't have time to prepare for us. I'm sure they're going to look at this tape thoroughly tomorrow, and they're going to come back with a different game plan on Saturday. So, this is going to be a tough physical series. This is something we really didn't see in the first round because Miami likes to bang and hold, and it's going to be a great series.
So many people talking about East versus West and whether or not you guys are getting enough respect. But as the veteran of the team, are you guys even focused on that at this stage? Or are you just focused on playing your game and letting everything else take care of itself?
Right now, we're focused on Miami. There's no use of looking ahead because nothing is guaranteed in each and every series you win. So right now, we're concentrating and we're focusing in on Miami.
All right, Reggie, thanks a lot. Good luck to you in game 2. Kevin, Doug, back to you.
Indiana wins their 11th consecutive game at home, including the playoffs. They beat Miami for the 10th consecutive game. Miami on the road now. Doug Collins 0-4 in the playoffs. Quickly, the big 3 guys who are watching tonight for Indiana, how did they pan out?
Well, they didn't have big games. They were 15 of 41. They find a way to win with their defense. Jamal Tinsley's timely shooting. Reggie Miller with a big shot late. They move 1-0 to the second game.
Indiana wins at 94-81 for Charles Davis and Doug Collins. Kevin Harlan saying so long from Conseco in Indianapolis. TNT, your exclusive home once again for the Western Conference Finals as we take you to Ernie Johnson.